Are T-Rexes really just dragons?
The T-Rex did not have arms. It had wings.
It looks like they snapped the rest of the body off. But it's still not as smooth as this rock. But how else are you going to explain this pottery with a long neck holding it? Oil is fossil fuel that formed from the remains of marine organisms like algae and plankton that lived there millions of years before dinosaurs. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if I can believe that. After the ice lies a great gate, the great countries know of it. And for your knowledge, petroleum, the crude oil, here we go, that exists in our lands. One of these civilizations is Gog and Magog. That is their rivers for them. That's just running rivers.
Is not made from dinosaur fossil. It is actually a natural substance made deep within the earth. Just like blood within our bodies, it can never run out.
As in verse 12, for 7 months, the house of Israel will be burying them in order to cleanse the land.
Well, that would explain how it got buried. They're talking about 75 pounds of plague of hail. This entire video, entertainment purposes only. You better lock in and buckle up, bucko, because you're in for another creepy and scary TikTok reaction video. These weird, strange, bizarre, creepy videos might keep you up all night and change your entire reality. If you haven't already, please slap that like button and get ready, because we're diving in deep on today's episode. I'm JetskiChucK. This is Dark Waters 9.
Do you think maybe they were trying to tell us something by having Bryan Cranston wear a mask to the Comic-Con interviews? I mean, it's definitely strange how many doppelgangers are in the show. I mean, he's a dead ringer. And Hank just happens to have a dead ringer in Tom Sizemore. And well, Jesse Plemons sure does look an awful lot like Matt Damon. And well, I didn't notice this most recent one until I noticed the type of car Skylar White drove. She just happens to drive a Woody in the show. How ironic. She just happens to be a perfect symmetrical match for Woody Harrelson, and she drives a Woody. Just like I'm sure all their Rocky references in the show was just coincidental.
Yo, Adrian. Rocky probably wants a space back.
But of course, it's all just coincidences, just like it's a coincidence that they all happen to have a doppelganger in the show. Entertainment only.
Mind if I get a picture with you? Sure.
I don't know, man. Maybe they might be a part of the same lineage. Cause he does look very similar. I'm not gonna lie. But maybe they're down, the ancestral line, maybe. Because if you look at the noses, his nose is a lot more in near the nostrils. His is a little bit more out and flared. But I see, maybe they can be down that ancestral line, is my thoughts. His nose curves a little bit more up and his goes down. It might be a little bit of a reach. His eyebrows have more indentation. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think they're similar because if you go way down their ancestral line, they might have had the same granddaddy at one time. That's all I'm saying.
This doesn't explain that, and investigators are getting mocked for speaking out about it. Drill cores like these have been found all around ancient Egypt, which was the leftover piece that would be thrown away by Egyptian builders after a hole was drilled into granite. Now, modern explanations use a bow drill made from a copper tube to demonstrate how these holes were drilled. And they work. Myth busted. We can move on, right? Not even close. First of all, yes, there are several hieroglyphs that supposedly demonstrate the use of these alleged drills, typically using them on tables, not granite slabs. Yet, not a single copper tube drill artifact has ever been recovered from Egypt, like ever. They made these holes all the time. Shouldn't these copper tube drills kind of be everywhere? Counter argument is that copper was so valuable that they likely smelted it down for other uses. Every single last one of them. How convenient. But that's nothing compared to the machining marks found on this drill core. The infamous Petrie's core number 7, found by Sir Flinders Petrie. And of course, the common Google debunker can search this up and find countless sources that irrefutably debunk this myth. But for those that can think for themselves, a little digging shows that something just doesn't make sense about this. Analyzing the core and wrapping a string of cotton around the grooves showed the drill marks produced a continuous spiral down the entire core, which the bow drill method doesn't do, but rather horizontal lines that look nothing like the authentic Egyptian cores. It doesn't end there. Analysis confirmed by fringe theorists like aerospace engineer Christopher Dunn, who worked with machining tools his entire life, suggested that after studying the spacing of the drill marks on this core, that the penetration rate of whatever method the ancient Egyptian used to drill this core must have been 500 times greater than our diamond drills today. His words, his conclusion. He obviously must be crazy. Now, that doesn't mean the drilling method was faster back then than it is today. It just means that, according to his calculations, these ancient drills had a greater vertical penetration for every rotation of the drill than today's technology. This clearly evil fringe analysis explains how the grooves on the drill core indicate a 0.1 inch of vertical penetration for every rotation of the drill head, whereas modern diamond drills with a 900 RPM achieve about 0.0002 inches of penetration per rotation, 500 times less than the ancient method. It could have very well been, and probably was, slower with whatever drilling technique they were using back then, but this level of penetration is mathematically not possible with today's diamond drills, and clearly not with the bow drill. Now listen, I'm not saying they used lasers or advanced high-tech drills or anything like that. I'm also not fully dismissing it, but it seems so obvious to me and several other questioners that something was used here that they're just refusing to even acknowledge. Just like the scoop marks they found around the unfinished mega obelisk at Aswan, which looks like they literally scooped granite directly out of the quarry. The explanation? Pounding stones, banging other rocks against it, for which they haven't been able to replicate but still stand by. Or maybe the ancients had some sort of forgotten method to soften hard stone, making it malleable and easy to work with that we're just unaware of. Okay, that's enough for now, because this is a rabbit hole that I don't think anyone's ready for.
Damn, did you see how at the end there was fingers inside the rock? How could they even do that to soften rock like that? Or maybe one time it was clay? I don't know, man. I can't even begin to speculate how they were able to make this stuff back in the day, man. It's so much. We're picking up the breadcrumbs. We're being lied to about so much. They're pushing some sort of narrative on us. So it's like, damn, we really got to use our discernment and try to figure out, how did they make these drill holes? How did those hand marks get into actual clay, man? Let's see if we can find anything on it.
Hey everyone, this is John at the museum, and this is Rock Springs, Wyoming. Do you know what they found on White Mountain? Petroglyphs and those sand hands. Check this out. Evolutionists want us to believe that all these handprints were done by people just scratching it until they indented it. Look at that. This is 65 million year old rock. Wait, there's more. Every day about 1,000 years ago, Native Americans walked by and just did this and this and this. Let me try it. This is sandstone. Ow, my hands hurt and they're almost raw. Come on, really? Or was this wet sand? Here's a mystery I want you to try to tackle. You see my hand scraping the wet sand, okay? That's supposedly done in 1000 AD in sandstone by the Native Americans. Did they rub their hand raw until they got that depression in 65 million year old rock? Again, let me show you a clue. That's my hand in wet sand.
Okay, I see this, but it's still not as smooth as this rock. You know, this was just like one smooth swipe. You know what I'm saying? And you go to this one, you know, you would have to do multiple dig impressions to get inside it, unless it was like super soft sand, I guess. Drop your thoughts below. We're going to dig a little bit more on this.
All right, you've seen us share the handprinted stone. This time it has been completely uncovered, and we can have as close a look as this as possible. Now the trouble with this is that is a handprint. That's not the problem. The problem is it's in Cretaceous limestone. That's a problem for evolution. Cretaceous limestone in this area is approximately 100 to 108 million years old, and you have a handprint in Cretaceous limestone. That is very, very interesting. What do you say? All right, you've seen us share the handprinted stone. This time,
I kind of remember the rock cycle that they taught us in science class. It goes to the metamorphosis, to igneous, and then yada yada. But I'm not necessarily convinced that is the entire truth, because like how he's saying, this is limestone or sandstone, and you can just get a hand in there. It's almost like they had a hot hand and they just put it into the rock, almost, is what I'm thinking. Or some type of event took place that made regular sand turn into limestone. I don't know. Drop your thoughts below, but this is getting interesting.
If you come to Namanonze and you're feeling just a little bit brave and willing to make the scramble, it's really not that bad. You'll come up here and you'll find a rock with a handprint in it. Just my hand for a size comparison. You can see the palm, the knuckles, the inside marks, all of those are there. You can see that. This is said to be the handprint in rock of the 7th Karmapa, a very important lama who lived around 500 or 600 years ago. Many lamas are known to perform the miracle of putting their handprints in rock. Even up to present day, the 17th Karmapa has done it a couple of times. So this is an extraordinarily holy location, and we feel very lucky because there was a massive earthquake here about 13 years ago, and a lot of the mountain fell down, but fortunately, this handprint remained accessible.
All right, if this was done only 600 years ago, he had to have some master Buddhist palm, strike to indent it like that, man, because it's not like you're going to be able to carve it, because look how smooth it is. So there had to be some type of Buddhist palm punch, that they put into the rock. That's the only thing that comes to mind how else is it going to get there?
Scientific discoveries that cannot be explained. Let's play it.
all of the artifacts, and that's the Delk print. Delk print has a dinosaur print and then the human print right next to it. Do you see it? Do you see the big toe right there and the toes following it? How this is impinging on this, or is this impinging on that? We'll have more information on that. That is called the Delk print. These right here you could easily skip over and say, oh, okay, nice little jars. But no, there is a baby dinosaur on one of them. You've got a squirrel right there. You've got a frog right there. But that, my friends, is a dinosaur, and this is 1200 AD from Central America. Talking about something that should not be there. In the sandstone, which is even older than Cretaceous limestone, is an alleged, I think it goes beyond alleged, handprint. So this person pushed off of the ground. The majority of the weight was right here. It's deeper, and my hand just barely fits in there. Again, that shouldn't be there considering the age of the rock. Now, the solution to having dinosaurs and humans together, or handprints or footprints in rock that are allegedly 100, 200, or even 500 million years old, can all be resolved if one looks at the worldwide flood 4,500 years ago as a geological anomaly, really, with intense amount of geological activity accelerating some of these processes. And you can have humans and dinosaurs in the same place 4,500 years ago and have a handprint in sandstone mud that then hardens and then masquerades as something that's 200, 300 million years old today.
Scientific discoveries that cannot be explained. Let's play it.
See it? Do you see the big...
I'm going to be honest, guys. I was on the fence about dinosaurs, but the more archaeological evidence that they show what humans intermingling with dinosaurs, all these artifacts, there's a painting where there's long necks walking with humans, and then we got this pottery right here. Like, come on, man. they might have been telling the truth about dinosaurs. T-Rexes might have not been what we think they are. It might have been dragons, but there might have really been long necks is where I'm at, man, because my reality is shifting on these damn videos. Like, I really used to be on the fence about dinosaurs, but it's a strong possibility, man, that they were still here. They're mixing some of those dinosaur bones with giant bones. They're hiding T-Rexes actually being dragons. You know, I don't know what to say. You know? We got to keep diving on these waters and come with a conclusion. But how else are you going to explain this pottery with a long neck holding it? You know? And then we got actual skeletons of a long neck. I know the scientific name of a long neck, but y'all know what I'm talking about. The dinosaur on Jurassic Park where he was snatching the leaves off the tree. This is what comes to mind, y'all.
All right, so in San Antonio, Texas, here at the Riverwalk Mall, and just thought it'd be interesting to share this right here. So I guess it's the walk with the dinosaur on there, dinosaur safari, and I just found it interesting. Isn't it? So you can touch it.
Nah, that is pretty cool. I'm sure the kids will love that going by there, but that's just in a mall. Y'all spoiled in Texas, man. Y'all just walking right by it like it's no big deal. You know, that thing must be there all the time. You know what I'm saying? If they had one of those in my little country mall, everybody would be going crazy. They could sell tickets to it. You know? It's interesting, man. But we'll see if we can find a skeleton of it. I wish they would say the name of it. Man, they be so excited and animated talking about these dinosaurs too, man. As a kid, I loved it. I loved Jurassic Park. I rewatch it every day. You know what I'm saying? And it might be a possibility they was actually real. What if everything was real? Giants, dinosaurs, dragons, they all was real, man.
A long-necked dinosaur. This is Diplodocus, a long-necked dinosaur with a really long neck. But scientists don't know what long-necked dinosaurs had long necks for. Imagine everything you could do with a really long neck. You could reach super high, way up into the trees to get the tastiest leaves no one else could reach, like a giraffe. But you could also stretch out really far and grab food far away without having to move to get it. Imagine if you could get a snack from the fridge without leaving the living room. We don't know exactly how long-necked dinosaurs used their necks because we can't see them move around in real life. So scientists just have to look at their bones and make their best guesses. This is Diplodocus, a long-necked...
All right, it's called a Diplodocus. The thing that was on that artifact, on that, the dinosaur that was on that artifact was called a Diplodocus. And I want to see an actual skeleton. If there's a museum that actually has one, so we can see if we can spot a couple giant bones or something, I don't know. Or maybe it might really just be a real Diplodocus. Because I know the Field Museum in Chicago, I think they do have one. Now I'm thinking about it. This was your boy a long time ago. Man. I took a trip. This is in 2010. I took a trip to the Chicago Field Museum because, you know, I love that stuff, man. The aquarium, I never was the clubbing type. I want to hit every single museum, aquarium I can possible. I'm still like that. But this was your boy back in the day. This is me looking at this dinosaur. So they definitely got the skeletons, y'all. They definitely got the skeletons. I'm just trying to figure out if it's real or not. I thought this was a Diplodocus, but it's not. It looks like it's a Stegiosaurus, maybe. That's what it is? I don't know. But yeah. The Field Museum got them all, probably. But I might need to go back soon, to be honest with y'all. And really dive back into it with this newfound paradigm I got now. Like, I'm trying to spot the giant bones. I'm trying to spot, you know, is there a long neck? I'm trying to look at Sue, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and be like, man, did this thing actually have wings? Let me play that clip for y'all, man, because it's an honorary mention. All right, Dark Waters fam, I'm not sure if this is it, but we're going to play it. Are T-Rexes really dragons?
Are T-Rexes really just dragons? Let's look at the evidence. The earliest text, speaking of dragons, was 1500 BCE. It's also been spread through a lot of cultures. Pieces of T-Rex bones have only ever been found in pieces. A whole skeleton had never been discovered until 2013. The mysterious thing is that it was privately purchased and only a handful of people have ever seen the full skeleton. Why is that? T-Rex bones are also hollow, just like birds. Typically it would be to make them lighter for flight. Now you gotta think of a 12,000-pound animal that's 40 feet long and up to 17 feet high. Somebody did the math. They would need a wingspan of 55 feet or more. Also, when an animal dies in nature, what happens? Scavengers come and grab everything. Of course, the wings would be drug off somewhere and you would never find them. They also don't age well being hollow. They probably didn't breathe fire, though. What do you think? Are T-Rexes really just dragons?
Hey, I'm just saying, man. And there was another video that they were saying you couldn't really find the bones of wings. Like all wings don't have bones. So it might just disintegrate it and just left the structure of a T-Rex. And the most fully intact one, I believe, is Sue at the Chicago Museum. Let's see if I can pull something up. All right, guys, here's Sue, the Tyrannosaurus Rex in Chicago, y'all. I seen this. I think I've seen this twice.
Absolutely amazing T-Rex specimen. She is both one of the largest tyrannosaurs that we have found, but also one of the most complete, with over 90% of the skeleton still present. She was also around 28 years old when she passed on. The fossils were discovered by Sue Hendrickson, and of course were also named after her. The fossils present share a lot of insight about the life of Sue, as well as the potential life of tyrannosaurs in general. She has a plethora of injuries ranging from a damaged arm to broken ribs, and some damage present on her femur, showing that life was probably pretty difficult 66 million years ago. She was also the basis for this amazing reconstruction that was done by Blue Rhino Studio, which is by far one of the most up-to-date and accurate looks at the animal. Now, while I've been referring to this specimen as a she, and the nickname is Sue, we actually don't know if it was a male or female. As I mentioned in the previous video, the best way to determine if a dinosaur was a female is if she was preparing to lay eggs, and was fossilized with medullary bone tissue. Sue, unfortunately, was not. So for all we know, it could have been a boy named Sue. If you understood that reference, then we could be friends.
No, I didn't understand that reference, bro. But anyways, moving on. The wings, they said only 90% was found of this dinosaur. You know, so maybe the other 10% could be the wings. And if you actually look at this thing, how is it honestly going to be able to get up if it fell and move around? It would almost need a pair of wings to actually move around comfortably, if you ask me. This is just my own speculation looking at this thing. This could be a dragon, guys. Drop your thoughts below in the comments.
First shot of the T-Rex's skull is Sue's original head. It is thought to be that Sue died from starvation due to an infection in her jaw. Life was hard as a T-Rex, and Sue definitely shows that. Sue has multiple calcified spots on her ribs and tail vertebrae. Parts of her tail vertebrae are fused together. This indicates that she sustained many injuries while she was alive. It just shows how resilient she was.
One thing these guys forgot to mention is that you could see in some parts of the actual bone that they did show that it was giving arthritis. So it showed that this T-Rex had arthritis. How crazy is that? Because I guess there's like a certain pattern on the bones. It was on the leg that the leg had arthritis because of the bone pattern. I don't know if they added the pattern or not. Maybe we would have to take a picture and that could be another deep dive, like a live stream or something. But moving on, look at this head though, man. Could this be a dragon, man? I could see it. I could definitely see it. I'm sorry, guys, but we might be looking at a dragon. And where's this girl that found this T-Rex? Where did she find it? Was it in the mountains or something? That would say a lot too. Like, how high could they get? I think it would be hard to fabricate this too, man. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it would be super hard, but some of those bones look real, man. So you just get that feeling like this might be real.
This is a T-Rex. If you're a dinosaur fan, hear me out. This is a T-Rex. And these are the stupid little T-Rex arms. It never made sense to me. Like, what's the point of those little teeny arms? So I looked up the skeleton to see what it would look like, and I was like, oh, look it, there they are. The little cute arms, adorable. But then I looked again, and I realized something, and I'm about to blow your mind. This is the skeleton of an ostrich. Want to see another? Oh, there you go. The T-Rex did not have arms. It had wings. I think I just made history. It's a dragon.
All right, now we gotta look at a skeleton of an ostrich. Y'all, activate submersible. Skeleton of ostrich. Damn. Yeah, I'm convinced. I'm sorry. I'm convinced. As a matter of fact, I'm not apologizing. I'm proudly convinced that those things could possibly been a dragon. A giant dragon. They always try to say, what was he saying on Jurassic Park? Well, birds are most likely like reptiles, or birds are the closest thing to dinosaurs. That's what they said, right? Let me type it in. Why are birds so close to dinosaurs? Birds evolved from a group of meat-eating dinosaurs called theropods. Sorry if I butchered that. That's the same group that Tyrannosaurus Rex belonged to. They're lying to our face and they're telling the truth at the same time. Imagine somebody kissing you and then smacking you at the same time, because that's what they doing. They trying to give you a kiss and then smack you after the kiss. What type of... They leaving us these breadcrumbs, man. Look at them. It's official. Birds are literally dinosaurs. Man, this is a slippery slope, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, but you guys see it. If you looked at that quick for 3 seconds, you'll be like, Tyrannosaurus Rex, and moved on. Nobody would really know this is an ostrich. You would think this was a raptor, which now raptors are suspect now. All raptors might be suspect now, to be honest with you, because this looks more like a raptor than I would say an ostrich. And this now begs the question, could raptors fly? Could it be possible? No one's going to look at this and be like, and you don't tell them what it is. Take a picture of this and show anybody next to you and don't tell them what it is. Be like, tell me what dinosaur this is. I guarantee you they're going to say raptor. Guaranteed. No one's going to say, oh, that's an ostrich. Because they lying to us, man.
Tours, and you were looking at a major visitation draw for the Field Museum, one of the great natural history museums of the country. That is Sue, a dinosaur found in 2000 that eventually sold for over $8 million. But it originally was found for the cost of just $5,000, and that led to a costly lawsuit. The landowner didn't think that she was selling any of the fossils that would be found, but was just giving the rights to explore for the paleontologists. And so the Black Hills Foundation, which paid that $5,000, tried to sell it. A huge lawsuit occurred. The FBI actually raided the Black Hills Institute as a result, and the landowner got the rights to this. A Sotheby's auction later allowed this to be sold for over $8 million. It was sold to the Field Museum, but only with the help of private corporations. The fear fear was that private ownership would prevent the public from being able to see this. And so the Walt Disney Corporation and McDonald's and the California State Universities all invested in an $8 million cost, which is one of the key drivers of visitation to the Field Museum today.
$8 million for a real dragon fossil? You would think a real dragon fossil would cost more than $8 million. I'm just being honest. 8 million, that's it? I mean, that's a lot of money, but you would think it would be cost more for it, man. That's just my thoughts. I'm sure they're all in on it, you know, to begin with. But where was it found? Let's type that in. Where was Sue the T-Rex found? Found in South Dakota's Cheyenne River Reservation on a cattle ranch owned by Maurice Williams. I'm not really too sure where South Dakota is, to be honest. So, South Dakota on a U.S. map. Okay. So it was found up there. Oh yeah, that's where they drill oil at. I was looking at a job, man. Your boy was trying to work, man, and make good money. And I saw that they got oil rigs up there. And they said, shoot, you can make 100,000 in a year, but it's tough work and you gotta live up there basically. I'm like, man, sign me up. I'm gonna lock in for a year or two and then I can own a house. I thought about it, man. I thought about Deadliest Catch, where you can get on those boats and do that, man. I've done hard work. Working at a paper mill is just as hard as working on Deadliest Catch, and to be honest with you. But anyways, yeah, I know about South Dakota. That's where they got those the oil boom is what it was called. Y'all don't know about the oil boom? I wonder if they're still doing it. Oil rig. South Dakota.
Hey, so look, this one thing you gotta understand though. You're not working every day, bro. You working hitches. So sometimes you might work 14 days on and get 7 days off. Or you got some companies doing 14 on, 14 off. So you making that 100K working half the year, like with time off and shit like that. You got people who working 6 days a week with a 9 to 5, 5 days a week, bro. They barely got time off. So pretty much with me, okay, say I'm working 20 days on, 10 days off. Each month I can go on a vacation if I want to. You see what I'm saying? And then on my 10 days, if I want to be like, I want to do a side hustle, start a business, I can do that. You see what I'm saying? And then the thing about it, that 100K is a lot for somebody who has no experience. So you can come into this game, bro, with no experience, man, and make that money. And like 100K, that's just base salary. You know what I'm saying? That's starting out. That's not being in this thing for 2-3 years. You see what I'm saying? Hey, so look, this one thing you gotta understand.
I told y'all there's good money over there. You know, if you struggling and all else is failing, if this YouTube don't work, your boy, I'm gonna be right next to him. Like, yeah, man, this oil rig, you know, I got 7 days off, 10 off. I'm telling you, man, you lock in and buckle up. We gotta make this 100K. I'm telling y'all, man. I thought about it. I almost did it. You know, I still might. You know, it's I'm telling y'all, I heard about South Dakota, man. I wonder how much. And then they drilling the oil. So what really is oil now? Because they found the T-Rex there, so I'm starting to think oil, fossil fuel. Hold on a second, something ain't adding up. Drop in the comments y'all thoughts, man. How is fossil fuel even made? How is oil created? Oil is created from the remains of prehistoric organism that was covered by layers of sand and silt, rock, and transformed to heat and pressure millions of years ago. So you're telling me oil is basically liquefied ancient dragons? Am I missing this? Am I just dumb, or is that literally what they're telling us? It says oil is created from the remains of prehistoric organisms that was covered by layers of sand, silt, and rock. What is a prehistoric organism? Is that like dinosaurs? Is oil made from old dinosaurs? No, oil does not come from dinosaurs. Dinosaurs didn't exist when the organisms that created oil were alive. Oil is fossil fuel that formed from the remains of marine organisms like algae and plankton that lived there millions of years before dinosaurs. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if I can believe that. Ask science. I doubt that they're telling the truth, but let's see what they're saying. I realized that the image of a dead T-Rex being liquefied by pressure and heat then gets pumped into the tank of our cars millions of years ago later is BS. I know fossil fuel is basically phytoplankton. Or phytoplankton. Sorry if I'm butchering that. Phytoplankton. But what are the chances of bigger life forms being sedimented alongside with the plankton? Would fish and aquatic dinosaurs even turn into the oil if the conditions were right? I assume the latter are made up of more protein and less carbohydrates compared to plankton. This can quickly get into a discussion of chemical arguments for plant origin of the most petroleum products. Plants and animals have different chemical and isotopic signatures. So materials derived from the decay of plant and mass differs from derived from animal mass. Chemistry tells us that most of the material has plant origin. It is a complicated discussion though, because petroleum isn't unchanged its original matter, so the proof is indirect and largely a wealth of evidence argument. So it's still they don't know. They just taking a guess, damn near. An educated guess. A hypothesis. So how was oil really made? Let me see. Activate submersible. Let's see if anybody can tell us the truth. Because they found a T-Rex where they pumping all that oil out. They making 100 bands, pumping up extracted Tyrannosaurus Rex juice. What's going on? Uh-oh, I think I might have found something, y'all. I think I might have found some truth on these waters. Let's see what he's saying. He's speaking a different language, so and they got this music banging, so I'm just going to read the subtitles for us. Why did they make the Earth spherical? Why did they make the Earth spherical? Why only talk within the scientific boundaries? If you were to say that the Earth was spherical Earth has limited boundaries in the continents. He sounds like he letting all the juice spill. Spherical Earth has limited boundaries in continents. It's limited. But what if I was to say the Earth was, and the boundaries we know are these continents? But are there other people in the U.S.? Yes, there's other people other than humans living on this earth. Damn. There's no such thing as South Pole. It's the earth sides. After the ice lies is a great gate. Damn, they blocked it. Lies a great gate. Hold on, I think I might have been able to get it. A great gate After editing this video, I got it. After the ice lies a great gate, the great countries know of it. Trying to get it frame by frame, guys. It shows it for a split second, man. You might be able to pause it and catch it. And the gate leads to different land and various civilizations. Yeah, Summer's Gate. We know about that. If y'all watch my ice wall videos, we know about Summer's Gate. Tell us something new. And that gate leads to different land that has various civilizations. One of these civilizations is Gog and Magog. Uh-oh. That sounds awfully familiar. Gog and Magog. I believe that's in the good book, isn't it? Don't worry, we're going to type it in. And for your knowledge, petroleum, the crude oil. Uh-oh, here we go. That exists in our lands. That is their rivers for them. That's just running rivers. Oh, damn. Damn, did he really just tell us what oil really is? Basically, he's saying Gog and Magog is in Hollow Earth and their rivers is crude oil. Drop in the comments your thoughts below. We got a little bit more to this video. As it runs, it goes underground inside the earth until it reaches our lands. Petroleum isn't the remains of animal bones and dinosaurs and such myths that people believe in, or the remains of ancient plants. No. Petroleum is rivers in their lands, runs deep underground in earth until it reaches our lands. Oh, shoot. Is that clear? For entertainment purposes only, y'all. Now, what is Gog and Magog now? This is getting hot. It's getting hot in these waters, man. If you ain't know, we're officially in Dark Waters 9. I want a video of it. This TikTok, YouTube, this is for entertainment purposes only. Do your own research on everything. This entire video, entertainment purposes only. What was I gonna type in? Oh yeah, Gog and Magog. What is it?
What is Gog and Magog? In the book of Revelation, Gog and Magog are referenced as nations that Satan deceives in the end times. Now, when the 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea. Revelation 20:7-8. According to this passage, after a 1,000-year period, Satan is released from his imprisonment and deceives the nations across the earth, specifically Gog and Magog. These nations are depicted as being gathered together by Satan to wage war against God's people. They went up on the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. The devil, who deceived them, was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone where the beast and the false prophet are, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Revelation 29:10. In this vision, Gog and Magog, along with the deceived nations, surround the camp of the saints and the beloved city. However, their efforts are swiftly thwarted as fire comes down from God out of heaven, consuming them. Additionally, Satan, who led them astray, is cast into the lake of fire, joining the beast and the false prophet. The depiction of Gog and Magog in Revelation highlights their association with the forces aligned against God's kingdom in the final battle. Their vast numbers and collective opposition symbolize the magnitude of the conflict between good and evil. Ultimately, this passage emphasizes the ultimate victory of God and the eternal punishment of those who stand against him. This is the end of this episode. Follow for more. What is Gog and Magog?
So Satan deceived Gog and Magog, an entire county or continent, whatever it was. So if the 1,000-year reign already didn't happen, then that battle would have taken place. I don't think that battle has taken place, but how could they be buried underground? And those are the rivers of Gog and Magog, because it would explain why they're black. Drop y'all thoughts below, man. I can't do this by myself. If the 1,000-year reign already happened, that will kind of explain why Gog and Magog is in Hollow Earth, because it just got buried by everything in the rivers there. That would kind of explain it. But I don't think the 1,000-year reign already didn't happen. But if it did, that would explain why it's underground. Damn, man.
Today I want to talk about the Gog-Magog connection to the book of Revelation. There is a lot of debate out there as to where the Gog-Magog war fits on the timetable. Is it in the middle of the tribulation or the end of the tribulation? Today I want to talk about the Gog-Magog connection to the book of Revelation. There is a lot of debate out there as to where the Gog-Magog war fits on the timetable. Is it in the middle of the tribulation or the end of the tribulation? God's word clears this up for us, and I want to share with you what the Lord has shown me through taking me to various scriptures. And as we compare scripture to scripture, I think you will see this too. So the first text we want to read is Ezekiel 38, 19 through 23. In my zeal and fiery wrath, I declare that at the time there shall be a great earthquake in the land of Israel. The fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the beasts of the field, every creature that moves along the ground, and all the people on the face of the earth will tremble at my presence. The mountains will be overturned, the cliffs will crumble, and every wall will fall to the ground. I will summon a sword against Gog on all my mountains, declares the sovereign Lord. Every man's sword will be against his brother. I will execute judgment on him with plague and bloodshed. I will pour down torrents of rain, hailstones, and burning sulfur on him, and on his troops, and on the many nations with him. And so I will show my greatness and my holiness, and I will make myself known in the sight of many nations. Then they will know that I am the Lord. Now let's read from Revelation chapter 16, 17 through 21, and notice the similarities. Then the seventh angel poured out his bowl into the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done. And there were noises and thunderings and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such a mighty and great earthquake as had not occurred since men were on the earth. Now the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon was remembered before God to give her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Then every island fled away, and the mountains were not found, and a great hail from heaven fell upon them, each hailstone about the weight of a talent. Men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, since that plague was exceedingly great. So let's take away some of the similarities between the two texts. In Ezekiel, we read here that there was a great earthquake in the land of Israel in verse 19. As also in Revelation 16, verses 18 through 19, we read that there's a great earthquake in Jerusalem. It said that all creation shakes at his presence in Ezekiel. And in Revelation, it said, a loud voice with noises, thunderings, and lightnings came from heaven. It says in Ezekiel that the mountains were thrown down and the steep places fall. And then we read in Revelation that every island fled away and the mountains were not found. It also says that great hail from heaven, about 75 pounds each, was a plague that was given in Revelation. And in Ezekiel, flooding, rain, great hailstones, fire, and brimstone fell.
Well, that would explain how it got buried. That would explain how Gog and Magog got buried from that hail. You know, that great hail. They're talking about 75 pounds of plague of hail. You know, that would explain how it got buried. And one thing I'm thinking to myself while I'm watching this is this the Israel in the Middle East, or is this the Israel in America? Because there's a whole new paradigm now going on that America had all this biblical stuff going down inside America, not in the Middle East. So there's that paradigm that we got to kind of align ourselves and have the correct discernment to figure out the correct placement of all this stuff. This is it's biblical gymnastics, but we got to find the truth on these dark waters, y'all.
It also says in Revelation that a voice from heaven says, "It is done." In Ezekiel 39 verse 8, "Surely it is coming, and it shall be done, says the Lord." So you can obviously see there's too many similarities to ignore that there is a tie between these two texts. In Ezekiel 38, this happens when Gog comes against the land of Israel, hence the Gog-Magog invasion. In Revelation 16, this is the seventh bowl, and this seems to precede the second coming of Christ. Notice in the preceding bowl, the sixth bowl, the kings of the earth are gathered to the battle of the great day of God Almighty in the valley of Armageddon, Revelation 16, verses 14 through 16. The earthquake is so mighty that it throws down the mountains. This is in both accounts, both in Ezekiel's account of Gog and Magog and Revelation's account of Armageddon. A mighty earthquake levels the mountains. This can only happen once.
Now, is this the correct location of where this earthquake happened is what I'm trying to figure out. That's all I'm trying to figure out. Was Nazareth, Sea of Galilee, is this the correct spot for where this earthquake take place?
Could the Gog-Magog battle be a part of this final battle of Armageddon? And then Israel is seen burying the dead and bringing the weapons for 7 years? Quote, "Then those who dwell in the cities of Israel will go out and set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and arrows, the javelins and spears, and they will make fires with them for 7 years." And then it says in verse 12, "For 7 months the house of Israel will be burying them in order to cleanse the land." Now notice that the valley...
It literally said be burying them. So if we go back to what my man said in a different language, he was like, oh, these, that crude oil is literally the rivers of Gog and Magog. How did he know that, though, is my question. He said a lot of stuff that was making sense. Like, he was spitting, I'm not gonna lie. But how did he know that? And it literally just said, you heard what he said it's buried.
House of Israel will be burying them in order to cleanse the land. Now notice...
Will be burying them. So are they in North Dakota? The whole reason we here is because we trying to figure out what's really going on with this crude oil. If you're not following me, we found out that it's literally the rivers of Gog and Magog, but we don't know how big it could. Gog and Magog could be as big as our whole continents, because they pumping oil in the Middle East and they pumping oil over here in America. So what's really going on here? Is that an entire another civilization that got buried in the Middle East compared to this civilization in America? I don't know, man. Drop y'all comments below. We got to figure this out together. You just can't be watching. You got to participate. Drop some knowledge. We got to figure this out, y'all.
Notice that the Valley of Armageddon is surrounded by the mountains of Israel. If you look at this map, this is where the final battle will go down and Christ will show forth his glory. Many have thought that the final battle of Armageddon has no ties whatsoever to the Gog-Magog war. But if we compare scripture with scripture, it seems that there is. Notice some other connections. Quote, "You shall fall upon the mountains of Israel, you and all your troops, and the peoples who are with you. I will give you to the birds of prey of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured." We find that in Ezekiel 39 verse 4. Then turn to Revelation 19, verses 17 through 18. Then I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the birds that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather together for the supper of the great God, that you may eat the flesh of kings, the flesh of captains, the flesh of mighty men, the flesh of horses and of those who sit on them, and the flesh of all the people, free and slave, both small and great. And then it says in verse 21, And the rest were killed with the sword which proceeded from the mouth of him who sat on the horse, and all the birds were filled with their flesh. Notice another connection, that panic strikes the armies of the men. In both accounts, God sends a panic on the wicked, which causes them to attack one another. In the Gog-Magog battle, it says in Ezekiel 38, verse 21, And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, says the Lord. Every man's sword shall be against his brother. And then we find in Zechariah 14, verse 13, in the battle of Armageddon. In Zechariah chapter 14, the prophet gives an account of what happens on the day of the Lord, the day that Jesus comes back to fight against the combined armies of the earth at Armageddon. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them, and they shall lay a hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. When we take Scripture and compare it with Scripture, that this in fact is most likely the same battle, which says that this will happen at the end, the very end of the 7-year tribulation period, in the seventh bowl, right before Christ comes back, or will be a part of Christ's judgment in the second coming. Today I want to talk about the Gog-Magog connection.
So there was some juicy information there, man. I don't know if I captured it all, but I do know that when he said that the lands will be buried, you know, and with the hail coming on top of them, 75 pound hail, that's crazy. That explains how they got buried. But I'm just trying to figure out, how did all that, the rivers literally turn black like that? That is interesting. And how deep are they drilling to hit that stuff, you know? This is fascinating, y'all. All right, let's read what this says. It says, did you know? Oil does not come from fossils nor from decomposing matter. Oil is not a fossil fuel. Rockefeller coined it the term fossil fuel, inducing the idea of scarcity to increase the profits, really being that oil is actually a mineral which is constantly regenerating. That could be true if it's the actual rivers of Gog and Magog.
Oil is not made from dinosaur fossil. It is actually a natural. Oil is not made from dinosaur fossil. It is actually a natural substance made deep within the earth. Just like blood within our bodies, it can never run out. Oil is not made from dinosaur fossil. It is actually a natural substance made deep within the earth. Just like blood within our bodies, it can never run out.
You've probably been told at some point that oil is made from dinosaurs, thinking that when you are at a gas station you are pumping refined velociraptor directly into your Volvo. As widespread as the belief is, it's not true. Oil is not made from the decomposed bodies of ancient dinosaurs. For some strange reason, the idea that oil comes from dinosaurs has stuck with many people, geologist Reidar Muller from the University of Oslo explained to Science Norway. But oil comes from trillions of tiny algae and plankton. As algae and plankton died tens to hundreds of millions of years ago, they sank to the bottom of the sea, where they accumulated and were buried by layers and layers of sediment. Eventually, after millions of years in a high-pressure and low-oxygen environment, the algae and plankton got cooked and turned into that sticky black oil we humans apparently can't get enough of despite the threat of a climate emergency. From here, it seeps upwards until it hits rock it can't make it through, requiring humans to drill it out. Oil and gas formation. Oil and gas formation. While marine dinosaurs, or a T-Rex that discovered its arms weren't particularly well adapted to swimming, may find themselves on the bottom of the ocean after death, it's unlikely they would get converted into oil themselves. This is partly because an oxygen-deprived environment is needed to convert organic matter into oil, Once dead, they would have become a meal for smaller aquatic creatures, picking them apart until they got down to the bones, long before they could be buried. You've probably been told at some point that oil is made from
In one of your last talks, that petroleum wasn't what we thought it was, that it wasn't a fossil fuel, that it didn't come from fossil animal.
Yeah.
Is it just a mineral? Is it a mineral like any other mineral? Is that how it, what would you say? How did it, what's the origin of
You see,
petroleum?
when they first found petroleum, because they were beginning to make motors and needed on axles or wheels on railroad trains and all that sort of thing, and remember, trains started in the beginning of the 19th century, then oil went from just a lubricant to a fuel, and it made it valuable. And Rockefeller happened to be the smartest man in the business at the time, but he made most of his money, or much of it, off the transport of the petroleum as well as selling it. But one thing they realized was, because oil is putting a price on oil is like putting a price on a pail of water. You know, no initial cost. It's in the ground, and in those days they were, some of it almost what you'd call surface mining the oil. They didn't go down deep. So in order to get the price up, they hit on the idea that they would have to make it appear to be scarce. That after we take the next few barrels out, we're probably going to have to close as well. You know, that kind of thing. Well, a very fortuitous event. In 1892, there was a convention in Geneva of scientists to determine what organic substances are. Well, the definition of organic is a substance with hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. And so it's usually a living substance, a tree. You analyze a dead tree, hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen, and grass, and so on, living things. Animals, we are hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. So at this Geneva Convention, Rockefeller took advantage of sending some scientists over who said, oil, petroleum, is hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. Therefore, it must be derived from the spoiling, the rotting of formerly living matter. And playing the game properly, when this scientific convention was over, they defined oil as the residue from formerly living matter. Well, that makes it a fossil fuel. I don't know why they decided to use the word fossil, but it says formerly living matter, it's fossil. Well, of course, today, and another thing we should know is that there has never been a fossil, a real fossil, found below 16,000 feet. And you can't argue at 16,000 there's a level line, because someplace the ground sinks and so on. But 16 is what the scientists say, 16,000. We mine oil, or we drill for oil, at 30,000, 33,000, 28,000 every day of the week. So right there we rule it out that it isn't fossil fuel. It's called fossil fuel for the minds of the public to feel that it is an asset that is running out, being depleted. We talk about depletion allowance, which is a lot of, you know, and actually if you know the world's oil supply, you know that it is not going to run out for an awfully long time. It is the second most prevalent liquid on Earth.
You mentioned in one of your last talks.
He said it's a river that runs underground. Oh my God. Man. We got to some truth on this one, man. We got through some truth on this one, I'm not gonna lie. I bet you'll never look at oil the same again. You know? So I'm gonna bring those prices down, man. Don't come for me. This is videos for entertainment purposes only. We just following the breadcrumbs here, man. Hey, I'm innocent. Don't come for me. But yeah, man, that is wild. I want to jump into some more of the dragons, because I feel like it's only right. So we're gonna do a little bit of recap, dive into the dragons a little bit more, because they found a whole bunch of, because there's different species of dragons. There's not just one species. You got Just like how there's different species of cats, I believe there's different species of dragons. So we're going to dive into dragons a little bit more. And yeah, lock in and buckle up, bucko.
Fossilized skull of a Pliosaur has been found in a towering cliff on England's south coast. If the size of its skull doesn't shock you, maybe its teeth will. These are the fossilized remains of a deep-sea monster that has scientists shaking with excitement. It's been described as an underwater T-Rex, a creature so menacing it would have had sharks swimming away in fear. It belongs to a Pliosaur believed to have ruled the oceans around 150 million years ago. A 12-meter-long killing machine with huge paddle-like limbs and a bite strength of 33,000 newtons, more than twice the crushing power of a saltwater crocodile. What was discovered is just as remarkable. The tip of its snout spotted during a walk along the shoreline of Dorset's Jurassic coast in England's south. He bitches and his team hoped to find the rest of its skeleton, thought to be hidden within these cliffs. The exact location remains a secret. Fossilized skull of a Pliosaur.
This might really be a dragon head. This might really be it. There's a reason. It looks like they snapped the rest of the body off. What you mean you're missing the rest? You don't want to show those wings and tail, probably. Or this could be a wyvern. Either way it goes, they're not going to show us the rest of the body. This might really be one.
Dinosaurs.
He tried to spin us. He said dragon in the beginning. Now he's saying in the sea. They gotta tell us the truth at least once first. It's part of the rules.
And that's what I really love about fossils and fossil hunting. It gives you an extraordinarily vivid insight into what the world was like millions of years before human beings even appeared on this planet. The remains of a dragon
is a statue of Mary Anning at Lyme Regis. She was a fossil collector who discovered the first Plesiosaurus. Over there is Golden Cap.
What's behind us is the most complete Pliosaur skull discovered.
Guys, I did want to dig off into this. This was a very interesting art. Took me a little bit to find, but if you see there, it looks like they're riding dinosaurs. Painting by Peter Bruce Gale. Let me see if I can type it in.
OMG, guys, look at this. This is a painting from, look at this. This is a painting from 1562 by Peter Bruce Gale, okay? It's from the Middle Ages. And this is a zoom in. These dragons are over here. These dinosaurs, you can see they're dinosaurs with people beside, yeah? Riding them even. Over here, it's a zoom in of a big painting, right? It's a zoom in and you will discover maybe it was hidden. Half hidden because it's very far. How did they paint them so far? How did he look for the little details? Because when you zoom in, there's detail of it. So this is in the 1500s. Dinosaurs were not discovered until later. So, and dinosaurs supposedly never lived with humans. But how come this painter painted them? Some people are saying, no, but those are camels. These are not camels. That's not the neck of a camel. It's like a small brontosaurus or something like that, no? So this painting was done 500 years ago. So I say that science lied to us history lied to us once again. And there's a lot of hidden stuff that we don't know. And this painter, Peter Bruce Gale, was telling us that humans and dinosaurs were living together. What do you think? OMG, guys, look at this. This is a painting from 19...
Good work, brother. Hey, he broke it down, man. I would like to see this actual painting. Where is this located? Can we publicly view this? He's on to something. I definitely had to, I forgot about this, but I'm glad, I remembered. This is something interesting. What do you guys think? Let's see if we can get any more on this. Yeah.
Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn minute.
What's behind us is the most complete Pliosaur skull discovered probably worldwide.
The fact that it's got its teeth mainly still in the sockets, meshed together in the jaw, it's almost, unheard of.
They got two carinas, so sharp cutting edges. Ridges along the two faces of the sort of tooth there, supposedly to break the sort of vacuum. More advanced features such as these pits in at the front of the snout. This is the top of the food chain. These are described as the largest carnivorous reptiles that ever lived, and certainly they were the mega predator of the Jurassic seas. The more fossils we find, the more evidence we can build on that. What's behind us is the most complete Pliosaur skull discovered.
I just find it absolutely baffling that they're not going to show us the wings. I can't get past that, man.
All right, guys, I just caught this weird.
I would be getting out of the water quick as soon as I saw something creepy like that. I'm gone. Y'all didn't see that creepy thing pop up out of water with teeth? I'm out of here.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
It's huge.
Unveiling a Jurassic sea monster. This is the 2 meter.
This is a different video. It looks like we can get a size comparison. Look how this might be a baby dragon. That thing is massive.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
It's huge.
Unveiling a Jurassic sea monster. This is the 2 meter long skull of a Pliosaur, one of the most fearsome predators the planet has ever seen.
So it's got big teeth, excellent for stabbing and killing its prey. It doesn't chew its food, it just breaks into bits and digests.
Throws it back to get in there.
And digests the bone and everything.
Steve Etchers led the efforts to unearth and prepare this ancient aquatic beast.
So what makes this unique is it's complete. So the lower jaws and the upper skull are meshed together as it would be in life. To find that, I think worldwide, there's hardly any specimens ever found to that level of detail. And if they are, a lot of the bits are missing. Whereas this, although it's slightly distorted, it's got every bone present. It's one of the best fossils I've ever worked on. I'll never probably work on another one.
The snout was discovered by a fossil enthusiast on a beach near Kimmeridge Bay in Dorset.
I just found something quite extraordinary. It's the jaw of a massive pliosaur. It's enormous. It must have just come out of a cliff up there somewhere.
Oh, wow.
That's a dragon, man. I'm convinced now, man. Who knows how many dragons is up there? You know, this was probably, a smaller one. But on the scale to a human, it's large. Your thoughts below. Jump in the comments, man. You watching this, haven't jumped in the comments yet? Let me know what you think of this. You know, this is wild. They finding dinosaur skulls that resemble dragons that everyone else everywhere around the world is talking about. And they're jumping out Pliosaur, something new. You know, I get it. But at the same time, let's jump on the other fence and think about how this could be a dragon.
Good evening, I'm Tom Tucker, and this is Channel 5 News at 5. The skull of an ancient sea monster has been extracted from the cliffs of Dorset's Jurassic Coast in England. The almost 7-foot-long skull, with most of its gigantic, dagger-like teeth still intact, belongs to a Pliosaur, a 40-foot-long marine reptile known for being a killing machine 150 million years ago. Incredible discovery.
I'm so mad. Why do they have the Hennessy bottle, though? And then they got the Drake album. What is going on?
Wait, so you're telling me we not only have dragons in Game of Thrones, we also have wyverns? Where the heck have wyverns been this entire time? So apparently wyverns dwell in the eastern region known as Sartorios. I don't know if I said that right. But they are kin to dragons, except they're not nearly as big. I believe they're in similar size to what Drogon and his siblings were when they were younger. At least this one type, because there apparently are multiple types. They also don't breathe fire. And they are described as voracious and highly aggressive. The insatiable hunger part is kind of horrifying because some of these wyverns hunt in packs of I think up to like 100, which is why that region does not have a high population density. The variety part is what interests me the most. You have brindled wyverns, swamp wyverns, brown bellies, and shadow wings. I'm not sure if that's all the species, but those are the ones that have been documented. Brindled wyverns can grow up to 30 feet long though, so they can get pretty freaking big. Pack of those sounds insane. It kind of reminds me of the movie Reign of Fire. You also have swamp wyverns that can get larger, but they don't really fly as much. They're more so on the ground. Slight correction, the ones that hunt in packs are the brown bellies, and they're not that much bigger than monkeys. Yeah, that would be insane. Now the shadow wing wyverns, this sounds like Toothless. They have black scales and wings that make it invisible in the dark. Therefore is the most feared. I want a show about this. Wait, so you're telling me we not only have dragons in...
What if Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, all of them were just preparing us, letting us know, like, hey, there's some truth to this. Proof dragons might actually exist. Shape of a dragon taking form over India. Not on the 5G tower. Damn, how magical is this? They got the fireworks popping off. They got the dragon kite. Fireworks with the dragon kite. Y'all, we gotta go to Japan. They turning up. I would have launched that dragon with some emphasis. You know, you gotta put that emphasis.
This is the map from 1587. That thing that supposedly is the ice that's frozen over, that's a fucking dragon, guys. That's a dragon. Look at it. Look at it. Turn your camera to the side. And look, that's a fucking dragon under the ice. That's a dragon. And it's almost at the same exact spot as this. Oh, no. Bro, is that...
Hold on, that does look like some type of head. What is this? You can see the indentation. Oh, man. Imagine this wrapping around the ice wall under it. Oh, no. no.
What is that? What is that? This is the map from 15.
What do the comments say? That's the Leviathan. They saying that's the Leviathan. A dragon head or turtle. Let me know what y'all think this is. Is this the head of a dragon that's under the ice wall? Or is it the actual Leviathan underwater? This is interesting. You could probably do this yourself for a couple hundred. But this finished project, how much y'all think they want for that? That is outstanding.
Of the dragon. And some of y'all, 2024 is the year of the dragon. And some of y'all like, what does that mean? I'm going to tell you. Chinese astrology and westernized astrology are two different things. In Chinese astrology, 2024 is the year of the dragon, meaning. And before I tell y'all this, just know, when it comes to the years and the months and the new year, that's different in different cultures and different parts of the world. Just like it'll be a new year over here, it's a whole different time, a whole different month in other parts of the world. So just remember that. Because the new year ain't really the new year. That's a whole nother video though. But the year of the dragon in Chinese astrology means the people born in 1976, 1988, 2000, 2012, and 2024. Not just born in, those are your years of significance. And just for reference, these are some of the people and celebrities that were born in the year of the dragon, just so you know where I'm coming from when I say this next thing. Being born in the year of the dragon, you are somebody that's very, very captivating, have a very distinct personality, and strong in like your career, or that was your purpose. So this is your year, 2024. So make it count. If these were the years you were born in, I would start that business. I would move. I would do this. I would do that.
Even if you're not in the year of the dragon, so what? This is a wake-up call to anybody, you know? I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, man. If it's not the year of the if you're not in the year of the dragon, you still can make that happen, no matter what. No matter what you're trying to do, no matter what you got going on, if you put a plan and a goal and do it every day by day, you can do it. Year of the dragon, year of the mouse, year of the GameCube, year of the Nintendo 64, I don't care. You can do it.
Regardless of where you're at right now. And just for reference and an example, my year was 2023, which was this year. I didn't have to work for nobody. The most brand deals and sponsorships and business propositions I've ever gotten. I look good. But for real, was that a coincidence?
What is that? Is that a whale carcass? But I don't see a whale shaped like this. It's got like more of a snake look to it. We play it back. This is too long to be like a whale, I feel like. The guy touching the stuff, he didn't even want his homeboy to get close. Look, watch how he grabbed him. He's like, get back, Essay. He said, don't get too close. What is that, man? Jump in the comments. Tell me what it is. What y'all think? Whale carcass, squid carcass, sperm whale carcass. It looks like it's like some type of giant snake carcass, if you ask me. beaver or red dragon? Y'all tell me. The sound effects are on point. They got it raining on the castle of Scotland. Dragon coming out. That's cool. I couldn't tell you, man. It's very interesting though. I enjoyed that one.
Shit! That was... What the hell? Check this out. What is that? Whoa! Sea snake! Hello, buddy! Holy shit! That was insane!
Good God, this is how big the freaking dragons are in House of Dragons? I still gotta get into like the Targaryen lore, but Balerion, that is ridiculous, bro. Like Drogon is nowhere near that. Now I'm not sure if that's like the book accurate Drogon or the one based off the show, because apparently the one we see in the show is way too big. Like he's barely big enough to hold Dany in the books. Well, that's what they said on TikTok. Next biggest one is Vhagar, and yeah, she doesn't even come close to Balerion. I can't remember what Balerion's nickname was. Was it like the Black Dread or something like that? It was badass. It makes sense now. Like I said, I still gotta watch the show, but I'm assuming that the third biggest is this one right here, Vermithor. I think that says Vermithor. The name's all right, but the design looks pretty tough. Me personally, the one I think I would probably want to ride the most is Dreamfire or Carcass. I don't know. Carcass just looks unique as hell. But just looking at the size of a person next to these things, I see why they could pretty much conquer anywhere with little to no effort. And I also saw somebody say on TikTok that although Balerion is massive, compared to like the old like world where they came from, he's not even the biggest dragon. There were apparently bigger dragons and even more terrifying creatures that could rival them. Now that's something I definitely got to look into after I actually finish House of Dragons. Good God, this is how big the freaking...
I haven't even seen a Game of Thrones, the new one. What's it called? I haven't. You know, they do a lot on those shows, man. If you took a lot out, I would probably watch it, man. But all that unnecessary stuff they be throwing in Game of Thrones just is a turnoff. Even though I love dragons and the old fighting and all that, you know, but just the lengths that they go to fan service, you know, you ain't gotta go all that. Just leave the fighting and dragons. Leave everything else on the side, or at least give me an edited version. Give me a clean version of Game of Thrones, and then I'll watch it. House of Dragons, give me a clean version. Keep all the dragons, the fighting, all that extra stuff. Y'all can have it. Nothing you can do unless you got a really sharp sword. You know, I'd rather have a sword than a Yistel at this point, you know. It might take a couple and be like, but if you got that sword, you might be able to, you know, get that head off at least. He-Man it with the power of Grayskull.
They actually found it. Remember back in the day, I used to talk about the dragons, how dragons might actually exist, and the fossils. Yeah. They just decomposed because the feathers and the wings, they had different type of, you know, bones compared to the body.
Where they find it at though?
They found a real dragon skeleton. Like, fam, I think like last week. What the So dragons confirmed real.
Yeah.
Like dragons straight up real. Look,
Where?
look at this.
Let me see.
I think it's in China, bro. But if you bag it, China's where they had a lot of dragons, right? Because in the mythology of China, everything is what? Dragons. Lucky dragon, red dragon.
Wait, but if it's folklore and it's urban legend, wouldn't that be...
That means it's not.
Oh.
That means dragons are actually real. Look, look, look. This is real. This is a real 240 million year old fossil.
Holy shit, what the
of a dragon. Straight up. Like, they have dragons, bro.
In a wall?
No, they found like the fossil. They found the fossil of it.
That's mod. Yeah, that's a dragon.
Yeah.
Fam. Like,
so they call it like the scientific name is the Dinophilosaurus orientalis. That's what it's called. They actually found it. Remember back in the day, I used to talk about.
Hey, they not crazy, man. They might have really found a real fossil that China's gatekeeping. You know, let's go. Let's look at it. This might be one. Why is it in the wall? Why is it on top of this rock like that? I have no idea. If you guys have any light to shed on this fossil, please, by all means. What are they saying in the comments? Or exactly a dragon, China, mythology. In a wall? Stop the cap. Hey.
Let's see even fine. Huh? Oh, they're great, man. Ủa vậy không tên luôn mà. Nó đang lan đấy á. Trong phần đi, tao vào đấy. Ủa ngọt vậy một. Ngọt đã khơi hết trong đấy một. Good job. Let's see even fine. Huh?
I could barely see it. It was like somewhere out here. It was real faint.
I'm going to show you a video. This is a dragon spine. Dragons used to be this big. This is in China at Mount Kunlun. That's a whole dragon spine, bro. That's a whole dragon spine, bro. Now tell me if that don't look like no dragon spine, bro. That's a spine. That's either a giant.
He's not lying. Where did he say that was? In China? Talk to us.
Giant spine or a giant dragon spine, bro. This is a mountain. I told you there's some big ass creatures out there that you ain't seen. That's why NASA left the ocean. A big ass Cthulhu ass creature was like, "What you doing here? Get your ass out of here." NASA was like, "Yep, you right. You right. It's time for us to head out." Yeah, if y'all don't think they ain't got no giant ass creatures, come on now, that's a spine. You can't look, it looked like vertebrae all the way through. Come on, dog. You know for sure. They've been hiding history, bro. Look at that, bro. Ain't no way. Follow, like, subscribe, share, comment, spine. I'm gonna show you a video. This is a dragon spine.
Let's see where it's at.
Dragons used to be this big. This is in China at Mount Kunlun. That's
Mount Kunlun. Okay. All right, I found one. Let's see what he's saying.
Kunlun mountain range in China is one of the 10 forbidden zones. I don't know if this is AI or not, it's legend, whatever, but watch this video and then we're going to talk about it. I mean, look at the detail in that, dude. Like, look real close. That's crazy. There is such a place. Seems forbidden to the world. Check it out. It's prohibited Kunlun Mountain's door of hell. Let's take a look. We've not yet decrypted the mystery, okay? The snow-capped glaciers of the mountains, the dangerous magic of Kunlun Mountain, and the majestic appearance of the mountain are enough to make a visitor eager to talk about it. It is said that the shepherds living in the mountains would rather starve their cattle and sheep to death in the Gobi Desert because there is no fat grass to eat than dare enter the ancient and silent valley of the Kunlun Mountains. They have luscious pastures, keep in mind. This valley is Death Valley, known as the Gate to Hell. It's covered with wolf furs, bear bones, hunters' steel guns, and lonely graves on barren hills, giving it an eerie and scary atmosphere. Bit of their architecture. But yeah, what do y'all think about that video, man? I mean, I know that the AI thing's really big now, but y'all think it's real? The Kunlun mountain range in China is one of the...
Well, we got how it's spelled, Kunlun.
I'm stunned. China has actually installed an elevator on a large mountain, which can ascend over 300 meters of sheer cliff in just 66 seconds. Upon completion, it broke the world record, earning the title of the highest outdoor elevator. It's known as the Balrog elevator, the world's #1 elevator, costing $16 million USD. Located in the core scenic area of the Wulingyuan World Natural Heritage Site in Zhangjiajie, its vertical height is 335 meters, with an operational height of 326 meters. A single journey ticket costs only 9.8 USD. The Balrog elevator is the world's tallest, has the largest load capacity, and is the fastest fully exposed outdoor sightseeing elevator. The Balrog elevator is constructed on the edge of a cliff, overlooking a seemingly bottomless abyss. It was built to provide great convenience for those who find it difficult to climb mountains. So, with such a thrilling elevator, would you dare to experience it?
Yes, what a great idea. You just load everyone up in the elevator, pay your $9 fee, zoom up, get some pictures, and zoom back down. Matter of minutes. That's a great idea. Would you guys do it?
So this is China's Kunlun Mountains, one of China's 10 forbidden areas. To me, this looks like a petrified spine bone from an ancient creature, like a dragon of some sort maybe. Why is this location forbidden? More importantly, what could split a mountain like this? They have been trying to hide this mountain for a long time, and finally some footage just came out. Before you jump on the bandwagon and say this is AI, it's not. Go and do some research, guys. Petrified bones and beings of creatures that once lived are spread across all the lands, and people really need to wake up and see the real truth, because it's one of the biggest cover-ups ever. The demonic entities who run our realm don't want us to know that these mythical creatures were actually once real and living. So this is China's Kunlun Mountains, one of China's 10 forbidden areas. To me, this looks like a petrified spine bone from an ancient creature, like a dragon of some sort maybe. Why is this location forbidden? More importantly, what could split a mountain like this? They have been trying to hide this mountain for a long time, and finally some footage just came out. Before you jump on the bandwagon and say this is AI, it's not. Go and do some research, guys. Petrified bones and beings of creatures that once lived are spread across all the lands, and people really need to wake up and see the real truth, because it's one of the biggest cover-ups ever. The demonic entities who run our realm don't want us to know that these mythical creatures were actually once real and living, and they killed them off over time to fit the New World agenda. Why do you think the mythical creatures and dragons and giants and other beings that are part of our lives and stories are actually there? You can't just make something up that didn't exist at one point, can you? Why are these creatures a big part of our lives, and why do we still don't believe that they exist? Because they don't want us to know the real truth, and they don't want us to know the real history, not his story. And this is another skeleton that was found in the same mountain region here. Do you know what I'm saying? Get to know, guys. Wake up, man. Peace and love. Modern day prophet.
This really looked like one. If this is in the same area, they're not talking to us about Kunlun Mountains, China. Hey, there's not, just like Turkmenistan, Ashgabat, and Kunlun Mountains, China. It's they trying to something ain't adding up. We might need to pull up Google Earth. Well, that red was interesting. Guys, I'm interested on your thoughts of the Kunlun Mountains and that dragon spine. Place in the comments below what you believe or what you have any information on it. And definitely help us out on these waters. You can literally see him smiling. He's loving it. He or she loving it.
Not until this year anyway. Not only do I believe in him now, but I think there's a chance some of these guys might still be roaming this flat realm we live in. You see, I don't really pay.
Wait.
I would love to own one of these. An orange one? What would you name it? If you guys could own one of these, what would your name be for one? Absolutely beautiful, stunning. I think you can walk these too. What is this, an albino iguana? I believe you can walk one of these. I wouldn't mind one, honestly. I would name them Orange Starburst. What are those orange popsicles called with the ice cream filling? That's Popsicle. There it is. Popsicle is his name. What would you guys name him?
Do you believe in dragons? I never did. Not until this year anyway. Not only do I believe in them now, but I think there's a chance some of these guys might still be roaming this flat realm we live in. You see, I don't really pay attention to the mainstream news, other than looking to see the nonsense they're putting out there. But lately, I've been paying attention because they've been putting out things that are kind of revealing the fact that dragons existed here. This is supposedly something from 240 million years ago that they said is a dragon fossil. One, I don't believe it was from 240 million years ago. And two, they try to pass it off as some sort of water dinosaur. This is a dragon. Only a few weeks back, this was found. And they said it was some sort of water animal again, a Pliosaurus. But they said it was found in the cliffs. Funny how it was found way up in the cliffs, and it was supposed to be a water animal. And I don't know about you, but that looks a lot like what I would imagine a dragon said to look like. Here's a closer look, courtesy of the BBC. Looks awful dragon-like to me. And it's funny, dictionaries from pre-1936 used to talk about dragons and how they are now rare. I also find it peculiar that the Chinese zodiac has 11 real animals, and then they just picked a make-believe one for their 12th one? Does that make sense to you? Also, do you know the dragon is talked about in the Bible 21 times? Literally all of these verses in the Bible talk about dragon. Why would they be talking about a fictional make-believe character?
Ancient artifacts from around the world show creatures that resemble that of dragons or dinosaurs. These are all civilizations that are said to not have any contact with each other. So strange that these artifacts and resemblances showed up all around the world at around the same time. In the 12th century, in one of Cambodia's largest temple complexes, Angkor Wat, there's a depiction of what looks to be a scale-type large reptile. In 1944, an enormous cache of ceramic figurines were discovered by a German immigrant, Waldemar Julsrud.
Ancient cultures from all over the world all depict dragons. And this is supposedly in a time where we didn't have any way to communicate. There was no travel to these other parts of the land. And they all just happened to create this mystical, magical, make-believe animal. Well, I'm going to give you my opinion of what I think is going on. I think that this man, who just happened to be the inventor of the term dinosaur, and also just happened to be an evolutionist who wanted to push the theory of evolution. I think they created the term dinosaur and talked about dinosaurs from 65 million years ago. So when dragon bones or giant bones were found, we could not link that to the Bible. The word dinosaur wasn't even around until 1942, and the same man that coined that term just happened to be the first one that ever found dinosaur remains. And it's funny because at first, they thought that the remains of that dinosaur was actually a large giant femur from a giant human. So again, I think the fact that dragons are talked about all the time in the Bible, and if you've heard me talk about giants, how giants are talked about all the time in the Bible, there are people out there that want to discredit what the Bible says and want to get you thinking that dinosaurs and evolution is real, and not the fact that dragons and giants are real, even though all the ancient cultures talk about it. And do I think there's a chance there might be some very few hidden dragons in the world today? I do. I think there's a chance that there are. Videos like this and this one that I started with seem pretty legit. Now, I'm not 100% sure, and there can always be good CGI these days, but the evidence points to yes, especially in our past. And I even think there's a chance that they're working on bringing that population of dragons back, because these pictures were found taken from a lab in China, and they look pretty real to me again. So you tell me. Do you think dragons existed, or do you think all the ancient cultures just had the same make-believe idea? Do you believe in dragons? I never did. So, I found a dragon. And I'm not even joking. And not only did I find a dragon, but I found a dragon in the United States the size of a state. Now you might think I'm crazy, but if you watch this video, I'm going to provide you solid evidence, to the point where you're going to know there were dragons. It all started a few days ago when my buddy Mike, who has this page on the gram, go follow him, he is brilliant and has so much awesome information, posted this. And those are people. So these are rock formations, and those are people. So think how big that is. So Mike was mentioning in his post how the mainstream would never let us know how big dinosaurs actually were. And he was saying these were scales from a giant dinosaur. But I was suspicious. I wasn't quite sold on what he was saying. Suspicious to the point where I wanted the coordinates. So Mike, like the good person he is, found me the coordinates. And just to show you a little bit more, all this rock formation goes on until the eye can't see. And that's a car, just so you get an idea of how big these are. So I got these coordinates and I put them in because I wanted to see these rock formations for myself. So I zoomed all the way in and I found these patterns, and they were everywhere, and they just go on forever and forever. And that's a car, just so you can get a scale again here. And just look at these. They're forever, forever. And they're all just like the squareness of them. They're too coincidental to what a reptile scale looks like to me. So what I wanted to do was I saw this, and then I wanted to zoom out and see if I can get a bigger thing, but I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything. Didn't see anything. And I was like, oh, I give up. And then all of a sudden, there it was. Now, you might not see it at first, but I promise you, you will. So look at the red. We're looking at the red here. Here's a wing, okay? So a giant wing. Here's its torso going up to its neck, and then its head is right here. And then another wing, and then so we got body, wing, neck, and then I'm going to show you its head, and it's crazy. All right, so I really want you to see this. And over here is the head. So I circled the head. Here's its mouth around. Literally, the mouth opening is right here. Here's its eye. So here's its big head. Here's an outline. Found the best looking dragon to what it looked like. But you can see in the blue outline, the blue, you can see the wings. And then its head goes up and around. And the part to the very top right is the head here. Now watch this. All right, so here's the whole thing. Wing. I'm gonna zoom in on the head here and just wait till you see this. Okay, so here's its head. Here would be its bottom jaw. Look, you can literally see its teeth, even molars here. And then look at this. More teeth over here, but wait till I show you what I found. And I found this after I saw this. Look at the name of the trail by the giant dragon head. Black Dragon Canyon Trailhead. Guys, they put the truth right in plain sight.
We're going that route today. I got my pen. Let me write that name down, because we're going to dive into that. Black Dragon Canyon Trailhead. Yeah. Black Dragon Canyon? Are you kidding me? trailhead. Almost like the dragon got slayed and then just fell backwards. Like, ugh.
The dragon's head, dragon trail. So just to compare the rock formations to a crocodile. Suspiciously similar, right? So again, I just really want you to see that those rock formations look exactly like what petrified crocodile scales would look like. Exactly. And these scales go on forever. Literally forever. Miles and miles and miles. Now here's where it gets even crazier. There's a place up here around where the dragon's chest would be called Fern's Nipple. And I want to show you this place. Okay, so here it is from an overhead view, and it literally looks like a nipple, and you can see all these scale patterns again. Now let me show it to you from the side view. All right, so it clearly looks like what it's being called, and it happens to be right in that chest area of the dragon. Now I think if people were to ever think of dragons for real, they wouldn't think that dragons had nipples.
Yeah, but okay.
But there was all sorts of crossbreeding animals going on back before the flood with the fallen angels, literally crossbreeding humans with different animals to try to get different species. So I'm not discounting this part of it at all, especially when I look at what ferns comes from. There just happens to be something called a wyvern, and fern, vern, wyvern, it sounds very similar to me. And a wyvern is a type of mythical dragon with 2 legs and 2 wings and a pointed tail, which is said to be a venomous stinger. So, are they telling us truth in plain sight, as they always do? And again, are they putting that truth in plain sight in books and even in alcoholic beverages called dragon's milk?
So a wyvern and a dragon are 2 different things. A wyvern can stand on 2 legs, and it might be an abomination they created.
You tell me. Now you might think all this is crazy, but the dragon, it's been mentioned everywhere since the beginning of written history. And the Bible is mentioned 35 times. It's one of the 12 zodiac signs of the Chinese calendar, and you're telling me they just picked 11 real animals and 1 fictional one? It was also even in the dictionary pre-1936 as listed as now rare. Dragons, now rare. Now, if you haven't researched any of the history of the hidden giants and titans of the world, like these guys, or this one, or these, or even some of these crazy ones in this giant petrified tree, well, then I could understand why you can't see this outline of this wing here with its neck going to its head with the fern's nipple and the wing here coming down to its tail. Maybe you need to look a little harder, and maybe you need to research a little more. But to me, I know what I see, and it's clear as day to me. And if you can't understand why they would hide these guys from us, well, because it crashes down their narrative of evolution and the Big Bang and dinosaurs and the globe and everything. And it legitimizes the Bible. So you can go on believing that dinosaurs existed 65 million years ago, or you can do some research and realize these are the guys that really existed, and they were as big as the state of Florida. But as always, guys, this was just a big elaborate hoax. I'm just here to entertain you guys. Yeah, I just think this is a guy from a cartoon movie called The Hobbit that they turned into a movie from a book, and it's all just lies. Just entertain and make people imagine this fantasy world, all for entertainment.
Are you kidding me? We gotta type that in. The Black Dragon Canyon Shed? Why would they name it that? They got the actual teeth. We need to zoom in, see if we can see that actual teeth. Let me know what you guys think about this. This was just one. There's no telling how many more we're about to find on tonight's waters. Let's dive in. Black Dragon Canyon, Utah.
Black Dragon Canyon Viewpoint. located in Green River, Utah. Why is it looking like a whole dragon spine? A massive dragon spine. Also came across a couple of books that reference mountains as dragon spines and vice versa. What do you think? Like
Guys, I think I drove through this and didn't even realize it. You will drive through Utah and it's so beautiful and you don't even know what you're looking at. Is this an old Tartarian civilization? Is it a dragon spine? What is it? For entertainment purposes, of course. This is just the ruins of something. The ruins. Black Dragon Canyon. Can you imagine if this is a giant dragon though? We gotta visit that.
I'll let you in on a secret. Life is better when you make space for what you love. This world will rob you.
If you're thinking about going to Arches National Park, then keep watching. The best time to go is early spring or late fall when there are fewer people. You can see almost all the top highlights in one day as long as you start really early by 7 a.m. or earlier. You're going to want to go to Delicate Arch at sunrise or early morning. And then you're going to hike 6 miles at Devil's Garden Trail, where you're going to see arches of all shapes and sizes. For a full guide, check out.
This was a picture of Druid Arch, and this was a video of a hiker that was towards the bottom of the arch. I didn't think that the picture did its size any justice, so I wanted to post the video as well. This hike is over in Moab, Utah. It's in one of 3 sections of Canyonlands. This one in particular was called the Needles. The hike was beautiful, but it was a bit brutal.
That thing is massive. I'm thinking person can just stand and be just as tall as it. No, this is somebody walking. That's how massive this is. And you're telling me this is in Moab, Utah, Moabites? Something's not adding up, man. The narrative that we are sold isn't adding up. So there's a lot of something went down in Moabite, Utah. and they're not telling us the truth. Something went down. Like I don't even want to say what went down, but you guys know.
I'm gonna just wait here for a little bit. Let time pass.
Where is this?
I'm gonna just wait here for a little bit.
This is scary and dangerous. You don't want to get too close to that. Look at the vastness. Look at that. That's majestic. One more time, man.
For the people on all trails saying that the hike to Delicate Arch was an easy one, I would just like to know if you and I were on the same hike. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't the hardest hike that I have ever done. However, the half-mile hike up this sheer, slick rock, honestly, was incredibly difficult for me. I did take it slow and ended up needing to take quite a few breaks, but that's okay, because I made it. If you can, I highly suggest doing this hike at sunset and during the off-season. Mind you, there still were quite a few people, but probably a lot less than if it were the peak season. Waiting in line to get pictures at the arch itself actually felt like being at Disneyland. The views up at the arch were absolutely incredible, and especially with the sun setting behind it. This is an arch that I think everyone should try to see. It was definitely worth the effort to get up there and worth the hike in the dark now. Happy to say that I have hiked to the arch that's on a Utah license plate. Have you? Bye!
They got something called Zion in Utah? What? They have Moabites, Zion. Something's going on in Utah, man. Where you just gotta skip the crowds and visit Utah's mighty 5 national parks in winter instead. That might be a play, I'm not gonna lie. Go out there, ain't nobody, you know, just you and just the vastness, wondering what happened. Yeah, we just had to take a little closer look at Utah because, what was it called? Black Dragon's Canyon. Man, it's, why would they name it that? And if we look, zoom all the way out, it's possible a dragon is right there. The dragon's head. And it's even got its chest on there. It looks just like a dragon nostril. I've seen this before, but how uncanny is this? Let me know your thoughts on this one. What you think about this? I don't even know where this is. It looks like it might be in Middle Eastern somewhere. Could this desert anomaly be the fossilized remains of a dragon or a giant flying reptile? You can see the wings. It looks like wings. It could be a spine. I don't know.
Gothmog, Lord of Balrog's High Captain of Angband. He was the greatest Balrog ever to walk Middle-earth.
And the Lord of the Balrogs, Gothmog, used a great black axe.
You mean to tell me they got one of these guys carrying an axe? What'd they coming out with that? Imagine that.
Morgoth is to Tolkien what Lucifer is to Christianity, the most powerful...
This is one on a completely different level. Questions start to raise that are very disturbing. What did it eat? How did it survive? How did this thing get created?
Forget Smaug, forget Drogon, forget Balerion the Black Dread. He towered over Thangorodrim's peaks.
Saturn was referred to as I said, the Lord of the Rings.
If you think Shelob was big, you have to see the biggest spider ever lived in Middle-earth. Ungoliant, mother of all spiders.
There, Gandalf sacrifices himself fighting the Balrog, further giving our heroes a fighting chance. His mission wasn't complete, so he's resurrected, symbolized by him wearing white.
There's a little bit of validity there, I ain't gonna lie.
It's your boy JetskiChucK, aka Ace Leader Jet. Hyper mode, activate. Set location to Middle Earth. Go!
Sauron is clearly based off Satan, the great Dark Lord who spawns evil armies, bent upon the destruction of Christian civilization. Mordor looks a lot like our images of hell, and the volcano Mount Doom gets even more hellish. The name Mordor comes from the Old English word for murder. In the same way Sauron corrupts minds and hearts in the Free Kingdoms, Satan quietly needles into people's souls, turning them evil. The story of the Ring is fundamentally one of Christian humility. The Ring has so much power and corruptive influence that the only way to survive it is to give it to the most humble creatures. A hobbit, in the same way a Christian's quest is to avoid power's corrupting influence, and that humility is the most noble of virtues, and pride the worst sin in Christian philosophy.
The Lord of the Rings is more than just a captivating story of hobbits, wizards, and epic battles. It is a powerful allegory of the Christian journey. At its core, both stories are about the struggle between good and evil, and the ultimate triumph of sacrificial love over darkness. In both, the central figure embodies selflessness, bravery, and compassion. Just as the Fellowship must endure trials and tribulations on their quest, so too must we face our own challenges in life, always striving to become Christ-like.
Saturn was referred to as I said, the Lord of the Rings. Women were told in ancient Israel to listen to their god, so they wore an ear ring. Men were to get married before their god, so they wore a wedding ring. Consequently, the kings were to get to be crowned before their god Saturn, so they wore the round corona, the ring, Lord of the Rings. Consequently, black was the color associated with the planet Saturn. We have different planets and different colors associated with the different planets coming from the ancient world, but black was the color associated with the planet Saturn. So therefore all the priests would wear black robes, just as Catholic priests wear black robes, judges wear black robes, rabbis wear black robes. Young people graduating from university and college, they come out wearing a black robe. Black robes. Somebody better go back and do your homework. You know what a black robe represents and why judges wear black robes? And consequently, when you graduate from university, it's a Saturnalian event. Saturn is the great teacher, the inhibitor. Incidentally, Saturn was referred to as the inhibitor, one who holds you back and teaches you a lesson. So he holds you back and inhibits you and inhibits your movement. He arrests your movement. So consequently, the Hebrews said, since He's always inhibiting you, and since we go to Tepal on Saturn's day, why don't we just do nothing on Saturday? And that's why today there's something called a Sabbath, in which you do nothing from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. It's called Sabbath. But Sabbath is actually based on a Phoenician word, Shabbat. And Shabbat is based on an old ancient Sumerian word for Saturn. Saturn was called Shabbat, and the worship of Saturn was called the Sabbath. So consequently, when you hear that there's a very important occasion, the Sabbath, it's very important if you're worshiping the planet Saturn. Wake up. It's very important if you're worshiping the moon to have your holidays after sundown. Saturn was referred to as El in the old Phoenician language, El. El was the planet Saturn. Today, if you are promoting the worship of Saturn, you're referred to as an elder. How did you get to be an elder? You got elected. How did you get elected, and what comes from being elected? Well, you become now one of the elites. You're one of the elites because you're now elevated in society. Look up these words and these terms. Saturn was
Lord of the Rings. Keep your head on a straight swivel, y'all. It's getting dark on these waters. You really be getting charged up like that. You know, you don't need ley lines if you're connected to the Most High. I was thinking about that the other day. I be getting charged up out of nowhere through that Ruach. I'm like, man, I don't need no ley lines. I got a direct connection. That's why I got that fire at all times. You know, just be inside me, feeling like I can just kick a wall down, you know? It's that Ruach.
Lord of the Rings, because for those that don't know, Tolkien was a very faithful Catholic, had a tremendous faith.
Son became a priest,
and his son became a priest. Absolutely, yeah. He was adopted in a way by a priest after his mom had converted to Catholicism, and so they kind of lost a lot of their friends. So the Oratorians in England had a big influence on his life. But to me, like learning about the Lord of the Rings and beginning to read it kind of was always second to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and the Chronicles of Narnia from C.S. Lewis, who was also a very famous Christian apologist in the Anglican Church, a convert from atheism. But a lot of people, and so that to me was always kind of the intro is you reading the Lord of the Rings and all those books of the Chronicles of Narnia, and then eventually get into the longer and more intensive and maybe less written for children, I guess, Lord of the Rings books. But I always find it interesting that Tolkien was one of the people that helped to convert C.S. Lewis to Christianity. And one of the people that he knew, one of the few Christians that he knew who were academics, because he was a linguist and had all sorts of kind of amazing academic pedigree. Tolkien did. So that was one of the linchpins for perhaps one of the most important apologists, explainers of the Christian faith of the 20th century was his friendship with J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah, I've always been a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. So the fact that they come out with anything I'm down to watch, it's been a minute since I've seen Lord of the Rings. We just been on this dragon kick. I'm like, what better time to see what's really going on with Lord of the Rings? What truth is in that movie? Because they talking about dragons. So how can there be any type of correlation to the ancient world that we live in today? Take me to Dark Waters 9. It's time to unveil some disturbing discoveries on Dark Waters 9.
Alright guys, we're in the submersible. Let's see what we can dig up.
You guys thought he was bad, with his wandering to rule them all in his Nazgul? Yeah, meet his master, Morgoth, the greatest threat to ever face Tolkien's world. Morgoth is to Tolkien what Lucifer is to Christianity, the most powerful son of Eru-Luvatar the Creator, who is the ultimate cause of all the discord in Middle-earth. He is the one who created the orcs. He is the one who first tempted men to evil. His real name is Melkor, and he was only named Morgoth by the elves after he poisoned and two trees of light in Valinor, Laurelin and Telperion. That's an oversimplification. He only stabbed the trees. It was Ungoliant, the primordial spider born from the very darkness of Arda itself, who then drained all the life and light from the trees and poisoned it with her evil. This is her, and there's Morgoth. Yeah, I'm planning to do a whole other video on Ungoliant herself, because she's not really an ally to Morgoth, and she terrifies me more than anything else in all of Tolkien's mythos. But fun fact, she's the mother of Shelob. But like I said, you thought Sauron had a badass army? Let's take a look at what Morgoth was working with. We're obviously talking the classics, orcs, trolls, evil men and whatnot, but let's look at some others. Speaking of Sauron, Sauron was Morgoth's right-hand man. An evil, cunning sorcerer who would eventually take his fallen master's place as the primary threat in Tolkien's mythos. We know enough about him, let's move on to some others. Morgoth's other closest lieutenant, pretty much on par with Sauron in terms of status in the army, Gothmog, Lord of the Balrogs. Gothmog, the High Captain of Angband, was actually responsible for 2 kings of the Noldor being the type of elf that we normally follow throughout these stories. Glaurung, the Great Worm, the very first dragon bred in the pits of Angband by Morgoth. Being the first dragon, Glaurung was wingless, but is still pretty much a nuclear warhead in Morgoth's army. Draugluin, the first of the werewolves bred by Morgoth and the father of Karkaroth. Morgoth has a thing about breeding fucked up shit. He is likely the ancestor of all wargs, and he dwelt in Taul and Gauroth with his master Sauron. Speaking of his son, this is Karkaroth, the Red Maw, also known as Anfauglia, the Jaws of Thirst.
The Red Maw?
Karkaroth is the greatest werewolf to ever walk Middle-earth. The great beast who guarded the gates of Angband, he bit off Beron's hand, which was clasping a Silmaril, and for a short time his immense power was amped with the power of a Silmaril. But I've saved the best for last, and Calagon the Black, the greatest dragon in all of Tolkien's work. Forget Smaug, forget Drogon, forget Balerion the Black Dread, he towered over Thangorodrim's peaks. And Calagon almost turned the tides of the War of Wrath in Morgoth's favour. It was said that his coming was accompanied by great thunder, lightning and a tempest of fire. Eventually he was slain by Elrond's father Eärendil, and the death of Ancalagon the Black marked the end of Morgoth's resistance. You guys thought he was bad, with his wandering to rule them all.
How deep does this Lord of the Rings lore go? That giant dragon? Weren't we just looking into dragons earlier? That's what I'm talking about. Let's check this video out as a quick recap so we're all on the same page of dragons.
Do you still believe that volcanoes erupt because liquid hot magma is bubbling up from the Earth's core? Well, if you do, you should stick around. And if you like dragons, you should stick around too. You see, once you realize you don't live where you thought you lived, it causes you to question a lot of things you thought you always knew. And volcanoes, they're no different. So I went volcano hunting because I wanted to see what I could see. And I went to Mount Rainier in Washington. And right away I noticed something.
Think Lord of the Rings dragons, Game of Thrones dragons, but think of them on a giant scale. Giant.
You might not see it right away, but I sure did. But take a look, and then I'll show you. How about now? Is it coming clear now? So I thought, maybe this is just a coincidence. Maybe this actually is just pareidolia. So I went to another volcano, and I found another face that looked pretty similar, down to its eyes, and even nose, and mouth. And when you compare 2 different volcanoes side by side, faces are clearly there, but this isn't even the half of it. Because I kept hunting, and I kept going to volcanoes. And I kept finding remnants of dragons. Do you see this face here down to its eye, long beak, and its whole dragon body? Again, this isn't even the end of it. But this would have been its stomach, where it would have held a whole lot of its fire acid. Next, I went to Mount Vesuvius and found dragon remnants. This one literally looked like it died here. You can see its head here and its mouth, and like it spewed its acid to create this hole. And just for a closer look, there's clearly petrified dragon head there. And when I show you this next clip talking about bombardier beetles and how they literally have two different types of stomach acid, when they combine, can combust. Then
we're going to get into those beetles later on in the video. We already covered them, but check out this head real quick. Like, I'm looking at this, and one of you guys said in the comments, Lord of the Rings, and I'm thinking, damn, but the size comparison probably wouldn't even match up. Like this, it would probably fit on its eye, low-key, compared to the ones that we talk about in all the movies and shows. This is one on a completely different level. Questions start to raise that are very disturbing. What did it eat? How did it survive? How did this thing get created? What would this thing eat? Drop your answers in the comments below. How would this survive? How many of them were there? How big would the earth have to be to support these monstrosity size dragons? How disturbing is that?
Then I'll give you my full theory on what volcanoes really are. And if you can wrap your head around the fact that dragons actually existed, which in my opinion, they fully did, then taking that step to think that they could maybe breathe fire, isn't that crazy when you watch this? This is literally just two ingredients being mixed together with a little bit of water added, and it combusts into fire. It's just glycerin and potassium.
That's all it takes? You mean to tell me a dragon couldn't have that in his stomach, or probably his stomach, mix them right up at his throat and spew that out? It started fire-breathing dragons. Oh my goodness.
They literally mix and they turn to fire. And there's an animal that does this. The bombardier beetle literally does this. As a self-defense, it mixes two different liquids together that when shot out becomes a hot, burning hot acid.
We got to look into that. We got to actually look at the chemistry and biology of this and see if it actually holds any type of precedence. We're going to get to the bottom of that.
Now, is it really that far-fetched to believe that maybe a much more advanced killing machine could have two liquids that when come together just happen to combust to create fire, like the glycerin and potassium? Now here's my theory and my speculation. And like I said, is it really that inconceivable that if a bombardier beetle can have two different liquids that when combined turn to acid, that a dragon could have the same thing? And when whatever killed them and petrified them, the insides all of a sudden came together and created a liquid hot magma.
Look how massive this dragon is. Where could this be at? I think this is in China. If you look at the Chinese zodiacs, all of them are real animals. The only one questionable one is the dragon. Why would they put everything else real? You got the pig, the rat, the donkey. They probably don't got those, but you know, I don't know which ones they got, but I know that they're all real besides the dragon. Snake, rat.
The sun came together and created a liquid hot magma. Because to me, that actually makes more sense. In volcanoes, they use these as scare tactics, just like they do a whole lot of other things like global warming and nuclear bombs and all sorts of things. I actually think it's a lot more likely that pre-flood animals got petrified and their insides remain active and sometimes bubble up. But as always, this is all for entertainment. I'm just a satire account here to make you laugh. Entertainment only.
That is just beyond fascinating. Every volcano now is under suspect. We need to jump on and see what they look like. I believe that there are different kinds. This world was so big, they probably each had their own names.
Look up the size of dragons in Lord of the Rings. Now, those dragons make these look small. Mate, what look small? What the? No, ain't no way. I'm about to look up right now. I've seen like people comment about how big Lord of the Rings dragons are, but there's no way. What the? You're telling me that's Smaug? That's Smaug. Hold on, let me look how big Smaug is. Smaug is visualized in the Hobbit films as having an overall length of 427 feet, wingspan of 360 feet, and height of 60 feet. Bro, those are his wings are as wide as two and you're telling me this is small compared to these other dragons. Somebody capping. There ain't no way. What even is this? Oh, this is that Ungoliant dragon people have been talking about that's basically a fucking mountain. God, how do you fight that? Isn't this essentially classified as a natural disaster? Oh, not even natural. This is an unnatural disaster. What is that? Hold on, because now I gotta look up how big this thing is. So Ungoliant's size is not specified, but they believe it's colossal because he fell on these towers, and these towers were basically as big as mountain peaks. Nah. So I see why people say don't play with the Lord of the Rings. That franchise is not. Look up the size of dragons in Lord of the Rings. Now, those dragons make these.
Did you know that Ungoliant the Black, the largest and most powerful dragon in Tolkien's world, was defeated by Eärendil, who wore upon its head one of the 3 Silmarils?
I give you the light of Eärendil, our most beloved star.
He was a half-elf and was the father of Elrond, having both men and elves as ancestors.
How big was Ungoliant the Black? I'm gonna do this once and only once because I am tired of having these debates with people in the comments who for some reason are adamant that Ungoliant was some titanic beast who towered over the peaks of Thangorodrim and was some sort of continent-sized kaiju. So let me settle this once and for all. The answer to the question how big is Ungoliant the Black is definitively that we don't know. But, that being said, not only do I find the notion that Ungoliant the Black is larger than mountains to be implausible, I also find it practically impossible. So what do we know about this immense titanic dragon who flattened 3 mountains? Well, in the entirety of Tolkien's Legendarium, he is mentioned twice. In all of the books, he is mentioned twice. He is referenced in Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, when Gandalf says he has the hottest fire in all of Middle-earth. That quote doesn't really matter. Let's look at the other one. The other quote is in reference to the War of Wrath, the cataclysmic war that led to the defeat of Morgoth and brought the First Age of Middle-earth to a close. During the War of Wrath, Morgoth unleashed the winged dragons, and they fell upon the host of the Valar with a tempest of lightning and fire. And then, here's the quote, before the rising of the sun, Eärendil slew Ungoliant the Black, the mightiest of the dragon host, and cast him from the sky, and he fell upon the towers of Thangorodrim, and they were broken in his ruin. That's it, that's all we know. We know that he is the mightiest of the dragons, we know he was cast from the sky, we know that he fell upon the towers of Thangorodrim, and we know that he broke them in his ruin. Now what exactly was Thangorodrim? Well, Thangorodrim was a chain of 3 volcanic mountains, but not regular mountains. These 3 mountains were the tallest mountains in Middle-earth history, and they were made from the ash and the slag and the vast refuse from the tunneling of the underground fortress of Angband. How do mountains made from tunneling debris become volcanic? I don't know. How does one ring rule them all? Let's move on. Now this is where a lot of people start getting ideas. They say if Ungoliant broke the 3 biggest mountains in Middle-earth, he must be bigger than all 3 of those mountains. To which I respond, a meteor is not bigger than the area it impacts. A wrecking ball is not bigger than the building it demolishes. And also, it didn't say he destroyed them, it says he broke them. What I mean is, when I say I broke a glass, that does not mean that I necessarily destroyed it or crushed it or flattened it. It might mean that, but not necessarily. And also, in the Lord of the Rings, Gandalf says about his fight with the Balrog, I threw down my enemy and he fell from the high place and broke the mountainside where he smote it in his ruin. I highly doubt that the Balrog was bigger than the mountainside. So this is what I mean when I say I don't know how big Ungoliant was. No one does, and there is nothing in the text to support that he is titanic. It's all just inconclusive. So why did I say implausible if not practically impossible? Well, because why is he the only one? Why is there just one dragon who is magnitudes bigger than all of the others? That doesn't make much sense to me. But then again, I don't know, so maybe he is or maybe he isn't, but the point is, no one knows. So next time anyone tries to tell you Ancalagon is definitively this big or this big, tell them they're wrong. The answer is, you don't know.
So I found this dragon size chart on Google, and it does a pretty good job giving you a size comparison of a regular human all the way up to the size of Smaug from Lord of the Rings, well, specifically from The Hobbit. And this is useful because you get to see how small we are just compared to Smaug, and that's important because this is Smaug compared to apparently the biggest dragon in the Lord of the Rings. On top of that, we can also compare Smaug's size to other dragons of other media because they have, I believe, Falkor from The Neverending Story. I could be wrong. Draco from, I believe, Dragonheart. They even got Alduin in there and Toothless. Now you see how insignificant we look just next to all these dragons and mainly Smaug. Imagine being next to any one of these dragons, and I can't even like imagine this in my brain. This media I can think of that gives me an idea of the scale of those creatures next to us is the Monwar, her son. This dude is basically isekai into this other world, and there are like gargantuan creatures. Like, I don't know if Ancalagon can fly, but if he does, this is what I would visualize it would look like. Basically like watching a mountain fly overhead. Now, what's kind of funny about this is that somebody told me in the comments that when he got into his first battle, he died. So it's kind of hilarious because you're this big and you lost your first battle. Granted, that makes me wonder, what the fuck did he lose to?
If you thought that Smaug was big, you have to see the biggest dragon ever lived in Middle-earth.
Ancalagon the Black's history is largely intertwined with the broader narrative of the First Age of Middle-earth and the conflicts between the forces of good and evil. He was bred and raised by Morgoth in the depths of Angband, the fortress of the Dark Lord. Ancalagon likely remained hidden until Morgoth deemed it necessary to unleash him during the climactic War of Wrath. As for whether Ancalagon is more powerful than Smaug, it's a matter of debate among Tolkien fans. Both dragons are incredibly formidable in their own right, but they exist in different contexts within Tolkien's mythology. Ancalagon is depicted as a primordial force of destruction, while Smaug is a more individualized character with his own motivations and personality. In terms of sheer size and the scale of devastation they could cause, Ancalagon is often considered to be more powerful. However, Smaug's cunning and intelligence make him a unique and memorable antagonist in The Hobbit. Ultimately, it's difficult to directly compare the two, as they inhabit separate eras and serve different narrative purposes within Tolkien's works.
Yes, I agree. And the Ancalagon from the Lord of the Rings is most definitely past Black Dragon level for Monster Hunter. Granted, the term Black Dragon level is something like we have the Phantom made up. I think the actual term, actual category is first class. Okay, it's actually two terms. The first one is forbidden monsters. The second one is dangerous first class monsters. Fatalis Trio, Dire Moralis, and Elatrion fit into that category. And these are known to be the most powerful, the most mysterious, and the most dangerous monsters in the lore of the Monster Hunter universe. The term Black Dragon comes from the fact that all of them have the title Black somewhere in their description or their name. Now the title Dangerous First Class Monsters has been extended to monsters like Safi Jiva, Disu Fiora, and Mephistofelin, which are all also considered worldwide threats in the universe of Monster Hunter. And Ancalagon not only makes them look like ants, it took the power of essentially gods to take this thing out. Firstly, the fact that Ancalagon could fly is just OD. Something that big as mountains flying. I don't even know how we would fight that in Monster Hunter. And then on top of that, the only thing that was known to be able to damage and defeat this dragon Ancalagon was the weapon that was used by this man named Arendelle, the Silmaril, which was only able to defeat Ancalagon because it had the power to basically burn away anything that was evil. So it really wasn't even a weapon because you could only use it on something that was essentially evil. In Monster Hunter, we don't have that. Our Dragon Raisers, our Dragonators probably wouldn't even be able to touch nor damage Ancalagon. Also, even though Fatalis isn't even the strongest Fatalis in the trio, he was still considered the basically god of monsters. He was able to burn a whole kingdom in one fell swoop. This attack, Elatrion's Escantan Judgment, and Safijiba's like Emperor Star, these are the strongest attacks we've seen in Monster Hunter, and they wouldn't hold a candle to what Encaligon could do. One of Encaligon's hands could crush the entire kingdom by itself. His flames would probably burn an entire region by themselves. If he wanted to, he probably could slam his hands into the ground and create earthquakes. This thing would bring terror to the Monster Hunter world like we had never seen before. The Fatalis pretty much makes all monsters in the immediate area run for their lives. Everything in existence would run from Encaligon. The only one I could say probably would be able to at least try to contend with Encaligon is White Fatalis, just because when he arrived, he caused a black hole and solar eclipse. It's not even stated that he directly caused that, it's alluded to. But just based on pure size and strength alone, I don't think anything's touching this guy. Yes, I agree.
Behemoth might give him a run for his money on Monster Hunter. Just give me my great sword. We'll put in easy work. Can you just imagine you're riding that thing, you know, and you're commanding it, turn left. You know, what do you do in this scenario but try to go underground? That's the only thing you can do in this scenario is try to go underground. Is what type of spear, what type of javelin, you gotta really, no telling how tough the armor is, you know. Dragon scales, you know, that might be tougher than steel.
Balerion is the largest dragon in the Game of Thrones universe. Smaug is 4 times bigger than him. Now that part, I'm not entirely sure how accurate that is, because the length for both of these dragons keeps flip-flopping for me whenever I look it up. Actually, let me see if they have an official length for Vhagar. Visual effects producer Nakia Ford confirmed in the House That Dragons Built docuseries that Vhagar's enormous size is around 500 feet long, whereas Drogon was estimated to be about 2. Heard some people say that Smaug. Balerion is the largest dragon in the Game of Thrones universe. Smaug is 4 times bigger than him. Now that part, I'm not entirely sure how accurate that is, because the length for both of these dragons keeps flip-flopping for me whenever I look it up. Actually, let me see if they have an official length for Vhagar. Visual effects producer Nakia Ford confirmed in the House That Dragons Built docuseries that Vhagar's enormous size is around 500 feet long, whereas Drogon was estimated to be about 230 feet long. Okay, so they seem pretty massive compared to, I believe, their book counterparts. Smaug is estimated to be 427 feet long in the film. Now, in terms of the book, I've heard some people say that Smaug was 70 feet. When I looked it up, they said he was 59 feet, basically 60 feet long. So technically right now, Vhagar is supposed to be bigger than Smaug, but Balerion was bigger than Vhagar. Most of the estimations for Balerion's height is due to this quote that he could swallow an entire mammoth whole. That could be an exaggeration, but if that was to be the case, somebody estimated he would probably be like 516 feet long. Most of this is just going to be guesstimations because we don't really
swallow a mammoth whole day.
Have anything too official. Hell, some people in their calculations even calculate Balerion to be larger than Smaug. In my opinion, I feel like after everything I've looked at, they're probably relative in length. But if you guys know of any sources that can give more accurate descriptions of them, then I can try to go from there and see.
Hey, did you know that Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings is actually an allegory for Jesus? Let me explain. So in The Lord of the Rings, Gandalf was sent by the Maiar to help the forces of the West, mirroring how Jesus was sent by God in the Bible. From there, Gandalf sacrifices himself fighting the Balrog, further giving our heroes a fighting chance. But his mission wasn't complete, so he's resurrected, symbolized by him wearing white. And these aren't just surface-level comparisons, the deeper themes of the story are actually the same here. The Astari were told never to rule. Their job wasn't to take over Middle-earth with their power, it was to help humanity learn to rule itself. And it's because of that that both of their stories end the same. They peacefully ascend once their mission is complete. Follow for more Lord of the Rings content.
Yo, there's a little bit of validity there, I ain't gonna lie. Just a little bit, man. Might be at Lord of the Rings. Might have a little allegory in there, man. The dragons, You know, the giants, they throw it right in our face. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.
Is it okay for Christians to watch Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and Harry Potter? When it comes to Lord of the Rings, considering that J.R.R. Tolkien is a Christian, and he also inspired C.S. Lewis, who wrote Narnia and led him to Christ, definitely yes. And I would put Hobbit in that category as well. And being that I finally watched all of Harry Potter, though I haven't read it, and from what I've seen, there's a lot of Christian undertone within that series as well. So I would say yes, but let's point something out here. You see, it's not clear if J.K. Rowling is a Christian. But what all of these series have in common is the use of magic. And one of the biggest misses I've seen from the Christian community in content like this is not taking advantage of that to share the gospel with people who get into it, and instead rejecting it. And in us rejecting it, we leave it as a tool for the enemy to use and captivate the world, versus leading them to Jesus. So I think we need to do a better job of getting ahead of these types of things.
As a kid, I've always been fascinated by this movie, and this movie has captured the essence of what it means of the means of masculinity in the form of Aragon, and the fact that he harnessed it very articulately gives me chills, because when he goes to war and they return to the king, he says this speech.
Not this day. An hour of wolves and shattered shields when the age of men comes crashing down. But it is not this day. This day we fight. By all that you hold dear on this good earth, I bid you stand. Men of the West.
His speech, I don't know if you guys feel the same, but it gets me all the time. Makes me feel empowered, and it teaches you a lesson too to have faith.
If you think Shelob was big, you have to see the biggest spider ever lived in Middle-earth. Ungoliant, mother of all spiders. She was a primordial, evil, and darkest being on Middle-earth. She destroyed the 2 trees of Valinor and consumed their light, plunged the world into darkness. Even the real Dark Lord, Morgoth himself, was overpowered by Ungoliant. She fought with Morgoth. At the end, Balrog saved Morgoth from Ungoliant's grasp. If you think Shelob was big, you have...
Hey, I might have to read that. That sounds out cold. You got the Balrog. Y'all know what a Balrog is? Let me show you. But anyway, you got the ancient Balrogs. All the Balrogs trying to fight her. That would be nuts.
What is a Balrog in 60 seconds or less? Balrogs were originally Maya, angelic spirits created before the beginning of the world by Aru Ilúvatar. Some of the Maya that took physical form were corrupted by Melkor, the original Big Bad, and joined his rebellion against Aru Ilúvatar. The word Balrog translates to demon of might or power. After their corruption at the hand of Melkor, they took the shape of monstrous humanoid fire beasts, shrouded in shadow and flame. They are described to have streaming fiery manes and vast wings of shadow. Balrogs wielded flaming swords and whips, and the lord of the Balrogs, Gothmog, used a great black axe. Balrogs were fierce creatures, powerful beyond human, dwarvish, and most elven warriors. The Balrog we see in The Lord of the Rings was known as Durin's Bane, and single-handedly drove the dwarves from their greatest kingdom, Khazad-dûm. So that's what is a Balrog in 60 seconds or less. Balrogs were...
You mean to tell me they got one of these guys carrying an axe? That would be kind of smooth. I want to see that. What they coming out with that? Imagine Bell. Come out with that axe. You better look out.
In Lord of the Rings, the Balrogs were originally Maiar, enticed by Melkor's strength to join his campaign. Their initial residence was in Utumno, the impregnable stronghold of Thangorodrim. However, after their commander's defeat in the war for the sake of the elves, the Balrogs and other servants of Melkor retreated to Angband and lay dormant. The Balrogs often took on a towering, ominous appearance, comprised of darkness and fire. Their weapons were ablaze, both a flaming sword and a fiery whip. The lord of the Balrogs in the First Age, Gothmog, also employed a black axe. One particular Balrog, known as Durin's Bane, triumphed in expelling the dwarves from their ancient and impenetrable stronghold of Khazad-dûm, which had been the most significant dwarf kingdom of all time. Furthermore, it contended with Gandalf, and the two foes perished in the struggle.
If you think Durin's Bane was cool, you have to see Lord of all Balrogs. Gothmog, Lord of Balrog's High Captain of Angband. He was the greatest Balrog ever to walk Middle-earth. His only equal in rank was Sauron. He fought many battles in the name of his master Morgoth. Like the rest of his kind, he carried a fiery whip into battle, but was also known for wielding a great black axe. He was feared by elves, men and dwarves across the Middle-earth. If you think Durin's Bane was cool, you have to see Lord of all Balrogs. Gothmog, Lord of Balrog's High Captain.
How hard is Lord of the Rings lore? Look at this. Dude carrying an axe. What? This is the Balrog leader? Oh my goodness.
Middle-earth. His only equal in rank was Sauron. He fought many battles in the name of his master Morgoth. Like the rest of his kind, he carried a fiery whip into battle, but was also known for wielding a great black axe. He was feared by elves, men and dwarves across the Middle-earth. If you think
why would you stop something like that?
What is this new devilry? A Balrog, a demon of the ancient world. This foe is beyond any. Run!
What would happen if the Balrog took the One Ring? What would happen if the Balrog took the One Ring?
Are you out of your mind? Why would you even think that? Y'all out cold.
What would happen if...
I am the servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Arnor. The dark fire will not avail you, flame of Udun!
Oh, he's got the horn too. What's that called? The ram horn to open up the gateways. I'm telling you, man, there's so many similarities. It's ridiculous.
Greetings, dear viewers. I, Gandalf the Grey, extend my warmest welcome as I embark on a journey through time to unravel the rich history of the formidable Balrogs. Let us delve into the annals of forgotten ages and uncover their origins. In the distant, unrecorded epochs of antiquity, the Balrogs emerged as fiery Maiar, ancient spirits of great power. Captivated by Melkor's awe-inspiring might and grandeur, these fiery beings were enticed to align themselves with his cause. Their initial abode found form within Utumno, the impenetrable fortress nestled beneath the peaks of Thangorodrim. However, as the war for the sake of the elves unfurled, Melkor, their master, faced a resounding defeat. In the wake of this cataclysmic event, the Balrogs, along with other fell creatures that served under Melkor's dark banner, fled the ruins of Utumno. Seeking refuge, they sought solace within the treacherous stronghold known as Ungoliant, where they entered a deep slumber, dormant and awaiting the call of their malevolent lord. Such is the tapestry of the Balrog's lineage, their journey entwined with the tumultuous annals of the ages. Stay tuned as we uncover further chapters in their chronicles, illuminating the depths of their power and the shadow they cast upon the world. From the earliest days when the trees of Valinor bathed the world in their gentle light, the shadowy presence of the Balrogs loomed. Even then, while Melkor, the treacherous Vala, and Ungoliant, the monstrous Spider, conspired to bring ruin to the blessed realm of Valinor, the Balrogs remained ensconced.
That thing was ugly. Did y'all see that? Ugh. Ugh.
Remained ensconced within the depths of Angban's desolate pits, and thus concludes this captivating video. However, my dear viewers, do not fret, for the journey is far from over. Stay tuned, for I shall soon unveil the second part, brimming with more intrigue and excitement. But before we part ways, I am eager to hear your thoughts on the story thus far. Your feedback is invaluable to me, so please share your opinions in the comment section below. Your engagement fuels my passion to create compelling content. Thank you for watching, and until we meet again, take care and stay tuned. Greetings, I am Gandalf the Grey, and I welcome you to the second part of the enthralling tale of Balrogs. When Melkor unleashed his unholy wrath upon the two trees, shrouding Valinor in darkness and despair, the Balrogs lay dormant in their ancient abode. But the cataclysmic destruction wrought by Melkor and Ungoliant beckoned them forth from their slumber. Fueled by a great cry of anguish from their malevolent master, the Balrogs emerged from the abyss, their fiery presence kindled by a tempest of raging flames. Ungoliant, driven by her insatiable hunger for power, dared to assail Morgoth in her hubris. In the face of this treachery, the Balrogs answered their master's call, their fiery might surging forth to confront the monstrous spider. With their formidable power, they unleashed a relentless assault, driving Ungoliant from their midst. The pursuit of the wretched creature seemed imminent, but Morgoth in his cunning intervened and called his fiery minions back, bidding them to return to Angban's dark embrace. In the aftermath of this harrowing encounter, Angban, the dark fortress of Morgoth, rose anew from the ruins, casting its sinister shadow over the land once more. The Balrogs, now reawakened and fully devoted to their dark master, awaited his command, ready to execute his malevolent will and spread fear throughout Middle-earth. The story of the Balrogs, entwined with the tumultuous tale of Morgoth's dominion, continues to unfold. And thus we reach the culmination of this captivating journey into the realm of the Balrog. As we conclude this video, I am eager to hear your thoughts and insights on these enigmatic creatures of darkness. Please do share your impressions and reflections in the comments section below.
He's spitting, ain't he?
Promise you all a video on Ungoliant, the gargantuan primordial spider of darkness and the greatest terror in all of Arda. The origin and true nature of Ungoliant is unclear. Some say she's a Maya, some say she was corrupted by Melkor, but I prefer the third theory, that she is the manifestation of the very darkness of Arda itself. A being born from the primordial darkness who took the form of a giant spider and had an insatiable and ravenous hunger for light. In the early days of the First Age, Ungoliant made her home in Avathar in the south of Valinor, back when the world was flat. Yep, you heard me right, Tolkien's Earth used to be flat. Here she would spin webs of darkness that would capture light, but there's a reason Ungoliant's name lives in infamy throughout Tolkien's work. Melkor, the greatest of the Ainur, in his undying hatred of the light, would travel to Avathar to ally Ungoliant to his cause. He promised her light beyond measure on which she could feed. And so from within herself, Ungoliant weaved a shroud of unlight, a darkness so deep and terrible that no light could ever pierce it. Even Manwë himself, the king of the Valar, second only to Melkor, could not pierce this light. Shrouded in unlight, Melkor and Ungoliant travelled to the two trees of Valinor, Laurelin and Telperion. Here Morgoth took his sword to the trees and opened up their veins to Ungoliant, who put her fangs to the trees and drew the light and life out of them. What you have to understand is that these two trees were the only source of light in the entire world. Ungoliant drained them and then drank the wells of Varda dry too, leaving the entire world in crushing darkness. But Melkor wasn't done. He then stole the Silmarils. The Silmarils were 3 jewels which contained the light of the 2 trees, forged by the greatest elven smith of all time, Feanor. Melkor also stole several lesser gems and murdered Feanor's father Finwë in cold blood. The actions of this day would forever brand Melkor as Morgoth. Morgoth and Ungoliant fled, however Ungoliant, having devoured all the light in the world, grew to a gargantuan size. But still she hungered, and she demanded the jewels from Morgoth. Morgoth, who was starting to fear her immense size, gave her the lesser jewels. Having grown even greater, Ungoliant now demanded the Silmarils, which Morgoth refused. Ungoliant attacked him, wrapping him in webs of darkness. This caused Morgoth, the greatest of the Ainur, to scream in pain and fear. A scream that was heard by his servants, the Balrogs of Thangorodrim, who rose to help him. The fiery whips of multiple Balrogs was enough to drive Ungoliant away, who fled to Nan Dungortheb. Here she mated with several lesser spiders and created great horrors, including Shelob, one of the greatest terrors of the Third Age. But what happened to Ungoliant? No one knows. Some say in her ravenous and insatiable hunger, Ungoliant devoured herself. Or perhaps the great mother of spiders, born from the primordial darkness of Arda, returned to that darkness from whence she came.
Look up Ungoliant the Greatest Spider. What is that? Hey, yo, what? Bro, what is going on with the Lord of the Rings? What is up with these creatures in y'all universe? So you're telling me that Ungoliant is apparently some like primordial spirit that took the form of this disgusting massive spider? You can't make this up. No, this is actually ridiculous. What is up with all these mountain towering beasts in this freaking book series? Like, I vaguely remember a spider being in, I believe, either the 3rd or 2nd movie, but it was nothing close to this. Like, what is your reaction to seeing this? Like, what do you do? Because spiders are insanely fast, so you can't outrun this thing. And there's not even really an explanation of where Ungoliant came from. She just appeared and instantly started getting on bullshit. And if being a giant, disgusting looking spider wasn't bad enough, she apparently has magic. Her magic was so powerful that when she descended these mountains and began wrapping them in her dark black web, they actually were able to suck up all light in the region. Not only did she suck up all the light in the region, no light was able to enter her region. It was just pitch black. What's really crazy to me is the fact that she was apparently eating the light and she was still hungry. Yeah, I see why you call this the greatest spider. She is a problem. Look up Ungoliant the Greatest Spider. What is that? Hey!
This is the story of Middle-earth's most terrifying monster. It is unknown where Ungoliant had come from or what she truly was. It is thought by some that she came from the outside of the bounds of the world, from the Great Void, though her true origins are a mystery. She went to the Blessed Realm, where she founded her lair and took the form of a great spider, sucking the very light of her surroundings, put her into conflict with the Valar. She allied with Melkor, and when the Valar were distracted, Melkor's plans went into motion, and the two descended upon the 2 trees of Valar.
In this verses, we have Ungoliant, a terrifyingly powerful creature from the void who took the form of a giant spider and who is the mother of Shelob, versus Calagon the Black, the largest and most powerful dragon to ever have lived, who was also the last hope of Morgoth's forces during the War of Wrath. Not even the Valar knew exactly where Ungoliant came from, but after she entered Arda, she aligned herself with Morgoth until he was captured, and after he was released, he enlisted her help again in evading the Valar, destroying the 2 trees of Valinor, and stealing the Silmarils. And Calagon the Black was created by Morgoth and released with the first of the winged dragons. He was Morgoth's trump card to counter the attacks of the Valar, Maiar, and Elves. Prior to that, he lay hidden, growing immense and strong, until he was finally unleashed during the War of Wrath. Ungoliant is extremely powerful and durable, and she can devour anything, and when she devours powerful things, she can grow not only in size but in power as well. She can shapeshift, and she can shoot out extremely strong webbing, and she can also shoot webs of shadow so she can walk unseen. And Calagon the Black was ridiculously large and strong. He had claws, teeth, and armored scales, and a powerful tail, but if that wasn't enough, he could also fly. But his greatest attribute was that he could breathe fire, the hottest fire of any dragon ever. Some of Ungoliant's greatest feats were sucking up the sap and light from the 2 trees of Valinor and killing them, and then creating great webs of shadow and evading the Valar, and then finally attacking Morgoth and trapping him in her webs and nearly killing him until the Balrogs came to his aid. Some of Calagon's greatest feats were pushing back the entire host of the Valar, Maiar, and Elves and changing the tide of the war, then battling Eärendil, who possessed the Silmaril and came with the Eagles of Manwë, battling him for an entire day, even in his death, falling and breaking the 3 mountainous peaks of the Thangorodrim in his ruin. In conclusion, if these 2 characters were to fight, I declare that your winner would be Ungoliant, the giant spider, creature from the void. My reasons for giving Ungoliant the victory are these. She has stealth on her side. She can surround herself in shadow and disappear. Now, although Ancalagon can fly, he's going to have to come in close to try to secure the victory. That's when she's going to pop out, she's going to bite and poison him, then she's going to wrap him up in her webbing. She's going to start to devour him, and the more she devours, the larger and stronger she grows. Now, if Morgoth couldn't escape from her webbing, Ancalagon's not going to be able to escape from her webbing. So, your victor is Ungoliant, the mother of Sheila. In this verses, we have Ungoliant.
Or the dragon just went crazy and just started breathing fire everywhere and caught her. You know, that might have did it too. Just burned the whole entire area of the fire. Just...
Is Shelob's mother? And how did she die?
Wait a second. Are those both questions, or is that one question? There's two parts.
And then Billy has
That's three questions. Well, Shelob's mother is Ungoliant, okay? And she died by consuming herself in her own webs of darkness.
He's got it!
We can raise the prize.
Who?
Oh.
I just learned about Ungoliant. They need to drop a movie of that. That would be out cold.
Remember Shelob from Lord of the Rings? Meet her mummy, Ungoliant. Remember Shelob from Lord of the Rings?
Let me know in the comments who you guys think will win.
Ungoliant. I'm dead.
It looks like we are getting another Lord of the Rings live-action movie. It is being written as we speak. Peter Jackson is involved in every step as a producer, which is good to hear. It's going to explore storylines yet to be told, and it's set to release in 2026. But wait, more information literally just dropped like 3 seconds ago. The movie is going to be titled The Hunt for Gollum. Andy Serkis will direct and star as Gollum. Peter Jackson is going to produce, like I said earlier, but what in the actual hell is going on here? Out of everything that I thought they could have been making, I was like, oh, maybe the Rise of Sauron, or maybe a Gandalf story or something. Well, let's go back. Let's go back before the war starts. We can get into what starts the war, or like what's going on during the war, the beef between the dwarves and the elves. There's so much we can go into. My brain wasn't even thinking about Gollum. That was the last thing on my fucking brain was Gollum. What is going on? This is the idea we had? This is the idea we've come up with? A movie? Are we okay? Is this serious? Am I being trolled? Am I being punked? How are we feeling about this? Are we excited? Am I tripping? What the?
It really bothers me when I see comments like this, because it's a misinterpretation or misunderstanding by the reader, and I can see how it can happen, but it just bothers the crap out of me. Ungoliant isn't stronger than Melkor. So what happened is Melkor slayed the 2 trees. He took his spear and stabbed the 2 trees, okay? Now, when the sap from the 2 trees came out, all that light and power from the gods from Yavanna came out. And Ungoliant is the one who sucked it up. She absorbed it and she became bigger. At that point, she was stronger than Melkor because he had put in work, killed Finwë, stole the Silmarils, fled. And then she got all the power from the trees after he slayed them. So she was stronger for that little bit of time when he did that. But naturally, she's not stronger than him. She lost to the Balrog, she fled, and then she actually devoured herself because she can't maintain that power. She has to keep absorbing light things. That's why she's still hungered after she even absorbed that. So she's not naturally stronger than Melkor, no. it really bothers me when.
And the fact that Ungoliant still might be alive in Lord of the Rings. So that's crazy. Might make an appearance in one of those movies, man. That would go crazy.
In The Lord of the Rings, similar to what the Nazgul are to Sauron, the Balrogs were Morgoth's most feared and loyal servants. Balrogs were originally Maiar, lesser Ainur, who were created by Eru Ilúvatar before the shaping of the world. As Maiar, they were spirits of great power and wisdom. However, they were corrupted and seduced by Melkor, later known as Morgoth, the first Dark Lord. Balrogs are described as towering figures wreathed in shadow and flame, with fiery whips and an aura of terror, and exude an overwhelming sense of dread and darkness. During the First Age, Balrogs served as generals and enforcers in Morgoth's armies. They played crucial roles in many of the battles of Beleriand against the elves and their allies. The most famous Balrog is Gothmog, the Lord of Balrogs, who was Morgoth's chief lieutenant and led his forces in several key battles, including the Dagor Bragolak and the Fall of Gondolin. The most famous Balrog in the Third Age is Durin's Bane, which took up residence in the depths of Moria until it was finally defeated by Gandalf.
In the Mines of Moria, after the Balrog drags Gandalf down deep into the mountain, they end up fighting at the top of a peak. What exactly happened in between? They both initially fall for a long time, and Gandalf is burned by the fires of the Balrog. They eventually fall into a dark lake far beneath the mountain that Gandalf said was cold as the tide of death. They fight in the lake for a while until the Balrog flees from Gandalf through ancient tunnels gnawed by creatures that had been there before Sauron ever came to Middle-earth. Gandalf chases after the Balrog through the tunnels and up the endless stairs, which were thousands of steps carved by the dwarves going from deep in the mountain all the way to the top of a peak called Zirak Zigil. On this peak above the clouds, the dwarves had carved into the rock to create Durin's Tower, and this is where they fight. The Battle of the Peak lasts 2 days and 2 nights until eventually the Balrog is brought down by the wizard. All the events from the Bridge of Khazad-dûm to the end of this fight takes 10 days. After the battle, of course, a bunch of things happen and he comes back as Gandalf the White, but that's a story for another day. Follow for more fantasy content.
Unbelievable.
Mr. Hunters here. Dragons and Dinosaur Hunters here, guys. How you doing? Check this out. You see the dragon right in the middle of the frame? See the dragon's head. Zoom right toward it. Just zoom in like this. See it? See if I can... Anyway, that's a dragon. You see all this green that's following him on his body, right here. On the left-hand side. It's his skin that ripped off its bone. This is a dragon egg. There's its head. You can see its eyes, eyebrows, horns, or ears that's starting. This is all the inside of an egg. If you look at a chicken egg or bird egg, it looks like the same thing. All this white stuff in there, you see all those little white chunks are its bone. So this thing got shooken up. Only dragon egg in the world ever found. Check this out. I'm just going to go through it. And the red dots are the blood, or his heart that blew up. I think his heart blew up. And the ones that were flat in there are the ones that hit the outside of the inside of the shell. The ones that aren't are still floating inside the embryonic fluid. I think this is the air sac that they squeeze out right here. Right before they hatch, they squeeze out the rest of their air. I don't know if that's it, but anyway, this looks like a chicken egg if it's overdeveloped. And you crack it, and you see these little red veins and stuff like right here. It's exactly the same as what you see. Anyway, this is the dragon egg, 100%. No one's ever seen one of these. First time any of you guys are seeing this. It's right now, the whole world. So, this will go viral on this thing, man. I'm not even kidding. You guys saw the egg, you saw the head. You're going around to.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see no eye or egg or no head. I get what he's saying, like the fluid and everything, but it looks like just like a gemstone, you know? Let me know if maybe I'm missing it. You guys let me know.
It's all the bone. It's all the blood splatter from the blood, his heart blowing up inside. It had to be. All the, looks like his whole skull. I don't know. Just want to show you guys. This is found out in the middle of nowhere, just like this. This might be his bone on his head. See this? Yeah, sure looks like. Let's turn him around. See that's right there? Yep. Look at that. You can even see his eyes. You can even see his eyes right here. And the skin should be right up above him. Right here. It's on the other side. Right, flip it over. Here you go. So there's the skin, guys. Skin will shrink. Remember that. Dragons and Dinosaur Hunters. First guys to see this, people, in the world. This is the first time I put it anywhere. Have a great day.
I don't know. You guys tell me. It looked like a normal rock, but it could have been. I'm not going to absolutely discredit it, you know, but it was tough for me to try to imagine to see it. And plus, I never even seen a dragon egg before. So let's dive in and see what else we can find on these dragon waters.
Then there is another lad, 5 million yoja.
حدود معينة هو حدود العلم. إذا قلنا أن الأرض كروية فالكرة معروفة حدودها ومعروفة قاراتها وخلاص محدودة. لكن عندما نقول أن الأرض عظيمة ممتدة وحدودنا التي علمنا هي هذه القارات، لكن هل هناك غيرنا؟ نعم، هناك غيرنا في هذه الأرض الذي يسمونه القطب الجنوبي. لا يوجد شيء اسمه قطب جنوبي، بل هو جوانب الأرض. ما بعد الجليد توجد بوابة عظيمة جدا الدول العظمى على علم بها، والبوابة تطل على أرض أخرى هي حضارات أخرى منها يأتي منجوك. وللعلم البترول اللي هو النفط الخام الكرود أويل موجود في أراضينا هو أنهار عندهم، هو بالنسبة لهم أنهار تجن تدخل في تحت الأرض في بطن الأرض حتى يصل إلى أراضيهم. ليس البترول هي بقايا حيوانات أو عظام أو ديناصورات من الخرافات اللي الناس مصدقتها، كل بقايا نباتات قليلة جدا. لا، البترول أنهار في أرضهم تجري حتى تدخل في بطن الأرض إلى أرضنا.
Jambudweep is surrounded by the salt water ocean, which is also 800,000 miles wide. The next tract of land known as Plakshadweep is twice the width of Jambudweep, at 1,600,000 miles wide. All these lands of the greater earth are fully inhabited by humans, animals and plants, just as we experience here. The next surrounding ocean is of sugar cane juice and is also 1.6 million miles in width. Next is Somaladweep at twice the size again, 3.2 million miles. That land is bordered by an ocean of liquor at the same width, 3.2 million miles. Then Kushadweep is twice that width at 6.4 million miles. It's surrounded by an ocean of ghee or clarified butter at the same width, 6.4 million miles. Then Kronshadweep is 12.8 million miles in width, bordered by an ocean of milk at the same 12.8 million mile width. Then the land of Sakadweep is twice the width again, 25.6 million miles, bordered by an ocean of yogurt at the same width. The next tract of land is known as Pushkaradweep at a staggering 50 worlds, but only within the boundary formed by this mountain because it extends even higher. Aloka mountain is the tract of land known as Aloka Varsha, which extends for the same breadth as the area within the mountain, 1 billion miles. Beyond Aloka Varsha are the coverings of the universe. The first covering is 10.
3 blasts.
Run! Ed!
It was you. You made the White Walkers.
We were at war. We were being slaughtered. Our sacred trees cut down. We needed to defend ourselves.
From whom?
From you. From men.
Rex, hi. I've read some of your speeches, and I honestly believe that a lot of what you have to say is true. And I'm a good person in spite of what my ancestors did. I wanted to ask you, what can a white person like myself, who isn't prejudiced, what can I do to help you and further your cause?
Nothing.
King Leopold II was one of the worst nightmares that has ever happened to the Congolese, if not the worst. Leopold's father died on the 10th of December 1865, and he took the oath of office on the 17th of December, at the age of 30. First, he tried to obtain the Philippines as a colony from Spain but failed due to a lack of funds and abdication of Queen of Spain, Isabella II. At the Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885, the colonial nations of Europe authorized his claim by committing the Congo Free State to improving the lives of the people. Leopold appealed to Belgium's government to provide him with seed funds to carry out this humanitarian endeavor. Millions of Congolese inhabitants, including children, were mutilated, killed or died from disease during his rule. Failure to meet rubber collection quotas was punishable by death. Finally, in 1908, international criticism and pressure forced the Parliament of Belgium to annex the Congolese Free State. The colony became the Belgian Congo. The Belgian Congo became the Democratic Republic of the Congo after gaining independence in 1960.
Franny,
I learned the hard way that racism starts at home, in one's own community. So I would suggest that if you want to help the Negro, you get together with other people that think the way you do, that are sincere like I know you are, and you fight the battle against racism right where it starts, in your own home and in your own community.
I will, Mr. X. I will.
And pray.
1890, the Tombstone Epitaph ran an article that stated that a bird-like creature resembling a pterodactyl or an alligator with a wingspan of 18 feet was shot down by cowboys. A picture was taken. Now, at that time, they didn't have the ability to run pictures in newspapers, and somehow that picture of that creature, dubbed the Tombstone Thunderbird, was lost. April 26, 1890, the Tombstone Epitaph ran an article to state
The Tombstone Thunderbird. Cowboys got him. That's interesting.
So this one is head of a sturgeon.
Sturgeon, my that's a dragon. That's a fucking dragon of the sea.
So this one is head of a sturgeon. So this one is head of a.
That does look like a dragon. What they trying to hide in there? What they really got? Said draconians are described to be like dragons but with wings. Hey, that was some real good footage. Let's type that in. Draconians? What's a draconian?
Dracos are originally from the 16th galaxy. They stand 6 to 8 feet tall and are of dark green in color. Their skin texture are dark and scaly. They have no hair on their body and they have a pulsing glow around their head. Their bodies are scaly with long arms and thin reaching just above the knees. Their torso consists of a protruding chest and winged appendages, which is supported by long ribs and long skinny legs. They have some vestigial reproductive capabilities, such as neutral gender, reproducing like lizards. The male species nurture the egg. The female just lays them. Some of the hybrid species have crossbred with the reptilians such as Valkyria, gargoyles, dragons. They communicate mostly on the 4th and 5th densities, which humans like to call astral. The gargoyles, the reptilians with special wings, which are flaps of skin supported by long ribs of Dracona, and this is where vampire symbolically comes from. The word vampire is derived from the word Vulcan Empire. The V and the E are interchangeable in the Old English. There are people today who suffer from what is being called porphyria, which renders a person in need of blood. They are nothing but your modern-day vampire and Dracula. The word Dracula means, son of the Dracos, and they come from these creatures known as the Draconians. They are from Draco, which is the 6-star constellation Orion, meaning it has 6 suns and that would mean 6 solar systems, with many kinds of life forms. They are humanoid in shape and reptilian in heritage. The Dracos are originally from the 16th galaxy.
If you made it this far, drop great video. This is one of my favorite videos because, man, we dove through there, man. This has always been a fun, interesting topic for me. I love it, man. Just as much as I love Tartaria, which we about to be hitting on soon again. But yeah, I love this topic. Drop great video for the code word. And I just want to thank all you guys for making it all the way through on these videos. I'm dropping these bangers left and right. You know, you can't dodge them because I'm throwing them at you, you know. But I appreciate you guys. God bless. And I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace out.